So very good evening to all of you. I hope you're all doing good. Yes? Feeling confident after the sessions? Yes? How much have you learned and what all have you learned so far? Any learning which you have got which you were not knowing? One is mindset, how to understand UPSC questions. You were saying something? How to connect with the newspapers, with the static ones, very nice. Or how many of you have got this insight that whatever you've been reading so far is redundant? And you have to pick up a new source. Is there anyone who has felt that, okay, yes, I could understand and feel what you've been going through? So that is what the session is for, that you understand what exactly is the demand of UPSC, what exactly are the sources which you have to refer to, if not the exact sources, but you definitely by now know what should be the framework to approach different subjects, right? So today we will be having our art and culture, ancient and medieval questions, analysis of last 5-year questions, right? So this is how our questions look like of ancient medieval culture. Ancient, 12 questions in the last 5 years. Medieval, 16. Art and culture, 26, right? That makes the total of 54 questions. 54 questions mean every year there are around 11 to 10 questions, right? But if you sum it up with modern Indian history, right, the total weightage of history as a subject increases to 83 questions in the last 5 years. That is again close to around 17 questions, right, which is again a huge chunk, right? There have been years, like in 2014, if I could remember, there have been 20 questions only from culture. So that means there can be a skewed distribution, and this is a very fundamental and static subject which you have to prepare, right? And need not to de-emphasize the importance. It has a lot of stake in mains as well. If you combine it with modern Indian history section, you do it for mains as well, right? So when it comes to the syllabus, your prelim syllabus does not reveal too many of the keywords or understandings or subheadings within the history subject. But when it comes to mains, in your culture syllabus, it's been written that the Indian culture will cover the salient aspects of art forms, literature, architecture from ancient to modern times, right? So that means when you are preparing for prelims as well, and you are, taking up topics in culture, you have to emphasize on literature, art forms, and architecture. And again, needless to say this again, these are the most important topics, not only in mains, but also in prelims from where questions come, right? So you have to understand that when you start your AMC, that is ancient medieval culture, there are certain key areas which you have to focus, right? So before starting the discussion, I'd like to give you certain key areas. So this is your mains distribution of marks of history, culture questions or ancient medieval questions. So in 2020, 50 marks. In 2022, 40 marks, right? This does not include, again, I am repeating, this does not include modern. So when you understand that there is a weightage, significant weightage in your mains, right, you have to prepare it very nicely from both the perspectives, prelims as well as mains, right? So these are the important topics which are very important when it comes to culture. So there are predictable themes. Jaise Buddhism, Jainism, there is every year a question, right? Ab hum ye bol rahe hain, that does not mean next year does not come, then you will, not do this topic, but this topic is very important, right? UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage List, UNESCO's, right? So there are many aspirants who come to us and say that, okay, what kinds of monuments or architecture or sites or important places do we have to prepare? The UNESCO World Heritage Sites, whether it pertains to a temple, whether it is a site in itself, any monument, you have to prepare them, right? So you don't have to go anywhere, but prepare the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Now the next question could be from your end, do we have to prepare all the sites? The answer is, it's good if you prepare all the sites, but if you want to prioritize, you can prioritize those sites, establish a link with your newspapers, right? So if any site, let's say, has been inscribed in UNESCO's World Heritage Site and has also come in news, so you will give more emphasis to that site. But all the sites are important. In this particular section, there are certain general knowledge aspects. See, even if you know that, okay, UNESCO World Heritage Sites are important, there is a way to do them, right? What is that way? I'll just let you know. Because, these are the aspects which, sometimes you miss out on. So if you're preparing UNESCO World Heritage Sites, there are certain things which you need to look into. One is, the general knowledge aspect. What is the general knowledge aspect or general awareness aspect? Because, again, UPSC and the government is focusing on such things. Which state has maximum World Heritage Sites? Right? Which state or UT does not have any World Heritage Site, right? These are the information which you probably, get surprised when they come in UPSC. But they are all relevant, okay? So don't only prepare World Heritage Sites from the perspective of, deriving knowledge. But you also need to be aware of certain facts like these, which are, again, UPSC has asked long back and can ask, okay? Second most important aspect is, as I have told you, if any site has any current affairs importance, right? Third aspect is, if any scheme of the government or any initiative has included any World Heritage Site in its ambit. Just to give you an example, we have Adopt a Heritage scheme where private organizations are given certain monuments for their upkeep, right? So if any World Heritage Site has been given and it has become part of any scheme or government initiative, that World Heritage Site also you need to prepare. Okay? So this is one aspect which you will focus when it comes to culture, ancient, medieval, right? Next aspect is your dances and festivals. In dances and festivals, the questions asked by UPSC have been more or less factual, right? But I'll give you the framework. In the last 5 years, there has not been a single question on dance and festival, but they are important, right? So when it comes to dances, there are two aspects. One is tribal or folk dance, and the other one is your classical dances. Okay? Classical dances, so you have to prepare as they are. In tribal and folk dances also, you can give first priority to dances covered in newspaper or current affairs. Okay? Tribal or folk dances, what you read in NCERT or your standard textbooks, or there is a website of CCRT which also gives you certain tribal and folk dances. So these aspects in tribal and folk dances are important. When it comes to classical dances, there have been questions asked on both the topics by UPSC in the previous years. In classical dances, they have gone deeper. What kind of questions here UPSC has asked? Mostly they have asked either the state or region where their dances are performed, or these tribal or folk dances are performed by any tribal communities. So the communities associated, the state or the region, is what UPSC has asked in match the following or pair type of questions. When it comes to classical dances, the questions have been to dwell upon the deeper understanding of the aspirants. ठीक है, इसके लिए what you can do, see the pictures or dance at least once so that you understand the basic nature of classical dances, basically whether they rely more on footwork, expressions, dialogues, musical instruments, right? Any dance form, whether classical or tribal or folk dance, if they are part of UNESCO's intangible cultural heritage list, you will prepare those dances as well, right? Do you have an idea about UNESCO's intangible cultural heritage list? No? So UNESCO's one is World Heritage List, where monuments and temples are there or sites are there. And then there is intangible cultural heritage list, right? So within this list, there are two things. There is one nominated list and one is representative list. So don't have any kind of pre-assumptions that questions will be asked only from representative list. Representative list matlab those art forms which have been recognized by UNESCO, right? Nominated list or items include those art forms where the country has nominated them but they have still not recognized by UNESCO. ठीक है, तो ऐसा नहीं है कि क्वेश्चन यहाँ से नहीं आते, क्वेश्चंस बिल्कुल आते हैं, क्वेश्चन यहाँ से भी आते हैं. So these two lists in culture is important, right? Then comes your another important topic, tribes and their region. Again, when it comes to tribes, their languages, their dance, their handicraft, what they weave, becomes important. Again, the question is, do you have to cover all the tribal, folk art or commodities? Answer is no. First, it has to have any link with current affairs. Second, it has to pertain with any, handicraft which has been given GI tag list, geographical indication tag list, right? Any handicraft woven or produced by any tribe has been recognized by under the GI tag list is what you will prepare. तो ये इस तरीके से करोगे. When it comes to architecture, as and when we will be seeing questions, I'll let you know that. But these are the most important themes in art and culture. ठीक है? This is your UNESCO's representative list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity in India. ठीक है? The question has been asked on Kalbelia dance, question has been asked on Sankirtan, question has been asked on Kutiyattam way back. And this is your backlog nominations, right? So these are the nominated entries from Indian government to be given UNESCO's intangible cultural heritage tag, right? So just to give you an example, If someone is doing paintings, so they have to first do scroll type of paintings in India. Okay, so FUD is an example of scroll painting. Similarly, there has been a question asked on kalamkari paintings in UPSC previous year paper, right? So these are the things which you have to keep in mind when you are preparing any kind of theme for art and culture, right? So let's take up the questions first. Okay? Buddhism and Jainism, a very important topic, and I must admit that the sources used by UPSC for this topic does not pertain to your static ones. Static ones matlab your NCRT. Okay? As my duty is to give you the source, I'll let you know the sources of the questions which have been asked by UPSC, but there will be a word of caution which you can have, you know, on a very personal level, that how deep can you go in such topics. Nonetheless, questions do come every year. But what kind of questions come? It's very difficult, right? So it is a mixed baggage. You do get sometimes easy question, you do sometimes get difficult question. So difficult questions are here. There are 2 books which I will be showing you from where questions are picked up. So if you want to ask me the cost-benefit analysis of this topic, it will reward you even in mains, right? This topic does come in mains as well. So if you prepare those 2 books specifically for this chapter or this topic, it will reward you both in prelims and mains. So you should not have any kind of aversions, right? अब वो 2 books है, उसमें से you can pick up 1 book at least, if not the 2 books. Now, before starting with the topic, let me give you the framework within which you have to prepare Buddhism and Jainism, whether it is prelims or mains. Because this is what you're for, कि what kind of questions come, right? So the first topic which is very important in Buddhism and Jainism is the philosophical aspect. What is the philosophical aspect? The basic tenets of Buddhism and Jainism, right? The different sects under Buddhism and Jainism, sect, subsect, right? Although this area will become factual, but whatever questions have been asked, they have been asked either from current affairs perspective or from a very relevant ones. Not all the sects have been asked. So this is how you will make sense here, right? Then concept of salvation. Then there are certain universal principles or core philosophy under Buddhism, Jainism is what you will prepare. Core concepts. Okay? Then comes your literature. The texts. Vidnay Pitak, Sut Pitak, very important texts of Jain, right? They also have been asked by UPSC. Then there are, areas like schisms or disputes or councils, Jain councils, Buddhist councils, what all sect emerged, how the divisions took place. This area also needs to be prepared. जैसे Mahayana, Vajrayana, Sthaviravadins, so all these divisions, councils is what you will prepare, right? Next aspect is your cultural aspects, जैसे architecture, stupas, chaityas, viharas, temples, Buddhist temples, Jain temples, paintings, all the cultural aspect. Right? This is what you will prepare. Within them, there is a topic which UPSC almost every year again asks. From all the topics here given, there are certain terms which UPSC picks up and asks, right? So this also you have to prepare, right? Again, I can empathize. There are so many things to do. How much you can do it, you have to identify the sources, and once you have identified, just do them within this framework. ठीक है? बहुत ज़्यादा difficult भी नहीं है, and even if a question will be difficult, it will be difficult for all. Another aspect is, very importantly, how trend is changing. Significant places or sites, जैसे कोई Buddhist site, Jain site. This area is also being asked by UPSC. So overall, if you prepare like this, from prelims perspective, mains will become very easy for you. Because जो आप इनमें पढ़ोगे, that will be used as examples in your answers for justification. ठीक है? Cultural में आपके School of Art भी आता है, जैसे गंधार, नालंदा, मथुरा, अमरावती, right? So these schools of art also you have to prepare. So all the cultural aspects, art forms, architecture, literature, disputes, philosophy, significant places, sites, terms. Within literature, you also need to prepare scholars. Question आता है Buddhist scholars, Jain scholars, Vaishnav scholars, right? So scholars' names are also important. ठीक है? So let's divisions or dispute. Schisms मतलब जैसे Buddhist council, first Buddhist council हुई तो किसके बीच में dispute हुआ? Schism means dispute. ठीक है? Disputes or different kinds of councils happen within Jain and Buddhist faith. ठीक है? Any other question? हाँ.
What about different aspects of Buddha in different schools of architecture? Have they asked questions from this, like long hair or?
हाँ, तो वो आपके आर्किटेक्चर और आर्ट फॉर्म्स में ही आएगा, राइट? आते हैं बोधिसत्वास, representation of Buddha in the form of bodhisattvas, Maitreya, Vajrapani, Padmapani, right? They are also covered. So art forms में architecture, stupa, chaitya, you can add Buddha's representation or bodhisattvas. There has been a question on Buddhist mudra also. Representation of Buddha and his mudras also has been asked. So this cultural aspect is dynamic one, right? Now it's up to you how many mudras you can learn. है ना? Question तो सारा वही है, how much can you do? I am giving you the framework as to what is important, how questions have come in not last 5 years but 20 years. This framework is not pertaining to 5 years. This is, a framework, whatever I will be giving you in any topic pertains to last 20 years and the areas which are important from the eyes of UPSC, right? So questions तो बहुत सारे आ चुके हैं. And within this frame, let's see the question and then you will understand that how you have to prepare. ठीक है? कितना deep गए हैं, that is what you have to make sense of. So this was the question asked in 2019. Very fundamental, very static, and one of the easiest questions. Which of the above is or are the features of Mahayana Buddhism? So there are 3 schools of Buddhism from the very basic understanding I'm trying to give you. Hinayan, Mahayana and Vajrayana. Heenan is the most oldest and orthodox school, which lays emphasis on worshipping of Buddha in symbols. His image is not worshipped. ठीक है? So stupa becomes the most important aspect in Heenan because it is the place where relics have been kept, right? Mahayana Buddhism, idol worship. Buddha in representative form. Representation is done in Mahayana. What is the difference between the ideology of salvation in Heenan and Mahayana? In Heenan, the salvation, that is your highest goal, is an individual effort. आपको अगर salvation चाहिए तो आप ही ले सकते हो. It will come out of your own effort, right? In Mahayana, you are helped by bodhisattvas in attaining salvation. So it is said that salvation as a concept is more individual in Heenan and more compassionate and combined in Mahayana. Vajrayana is the tantric or the magical cult within Buddhism. So agar basic understanding hai of what is Mahayana, this question is doable. Deification of the Buddha. Sometimes some aspirants do not know what is deification. है ना? Deification नहीं पता है तो हिंदी translation पढ़ लो. These are the again certain things which you can do on the spot. Deification comes out of the word deity. तो deification मतलब बुद्ध को deity की तरह prayer करना, right? This is a part of your Mahayana. Trading the path of bodhisattvas. I told you bodhisattvas are the ones who's helping you out in attaining salvation. So you have to trade whatever path the bodhisattvas is laying down for you, right? Third, image worship and rituals again is a part of your Mahayana Buddhism. So 1, 2 and 3 is the answer. बहुत static और fundamental question है, बहुत easy if these concepts are clear. ठीक है? This can be done from your 6th class NCERT book as well. ठीक है? वहाँ पर क्या लिखा है? वहाँ लिखा है कि Mahayana Buddhism developed. This had distinct features. Buddha's presence was shown in sculpture, enlightenment, statues of Buddha. Bodhisattvas was the next change which Mahayana adopted. ठीक है? Once they attained enlightenment, they could live in complete isolation and meditate in peace. They help other people. The worship of bodhisattvas became very popular. ठीक है? तो deification, image worship, trading the path of bodhisattvas is what you can understand within that question. ठीक है? 2020 में there was another question which came from Buddhism. Now this is a difficult question because again there are certain sects or schools of thought which probably is not covered in your static textbooks or your NCERTs. Okay, let's read the question. Sthaviravadins belong to Mahayana Buddhism. Okay. Lokatarvadan sect was an offshoot of Mahasangika sect of Buddhism. The deification of Buddha by Mahasangikas fostered the Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism. तो अगर पता है deification, again देखो 2020 में deification आया और 2019 में deification आया. So what learning do you have to take? Whatever words have been chosen by UPSC to describe anything has to be memorized as they are. ठीक है? Secondly, before coming to the answer, Sthaviravadins belong to Mahayana Buddhism. Before 2020, in 2017, there was a question again on Buddhism, which dealt with Sautrantika, Samitya, Sarvastivadins. ठीक है? अब अगर किसी ने 2017 के question के basis पे has prepared this topic, right? Because this has already been asked in 2017. So what is your next task? Whenever you see a question, you have to prepare that topic, right? So if someone had prepared this topic in 2017, after seeing the question, they would have come to know that Sthaviravadins are not part of Mahayana Buddhism, but Heenan. तो जब हम ये सब चीज़ें देखते हैं, we understand that there are certain topics which we have to prepare according to the previous year papers. आप चाहे कोई और topic मत करो, But the topics, the options which have already been asked by UPSC are repeated, and their conceptual knowledge is important to solve the next forthcoming questions. ठीक है, तो अगर ये पता हो कि 1 is wrong, तो आप 2 statements और 2 options eliminate करोगे, right? So 1 and 2 cannot be the answer, 1, 2 and 3 cannot be the answer. Deification is important, so 3 has to be there in the answer. Why this question is difficult? Because most of you will not be knowing that Lokottar Vadan sect was an offshoot of Mahasangika sect. इसलिए मैंने framework में I have specifically given the sects, the disputes or the councils within which those sect or forms of Buddhism emerged. तो वो area आपको करना है, right? So the book which is important is this one, A.L. Basham's Wonder That Was India. You have to do Buddhism and Jainism and the philosophy wala chapter from this book, right? Buddhism and Jainism and religious philosophy, right? From this book, many questions come. Even literature pe questions have come. You can use this book, right? ठीक है? Why this book is important? Because whatever topics have been mentioned in your main syllabus, like literature, art forms, architecture, they are given as chapters in this book. So once you prepare literature, once you prepare art forms, once you prepare architecture from ancient perspective, you have a clear understanding or sense. ठीक है? तो इसलिए book important है. Then comes term related questions. जैसे मैंने बोला, in Buddhism you do get certain terms. Parivrajak, Shraman, Upasaka. Now this question also is important and fundamental but not that difficult. Reason being, this question can be asked from your NCERT also. जैसे, if someone knows that Shraman belongs to, you know, faith which ascribe to Buddhism and Jainism, a theistic philosophy, right? They can, you know, eliminate 2 in every option. और ये जो श्रमण है ना, ये आपके NCERT में given है. You have all gone through this book, Introduction to Indian Art Part 1, है ना? श्रमण जो word आया था, if you can see in chapter 3, form of Buddhism and Jainism which were part of the Shraman tradition. तो अगर किसी को ये समझ में भी आ गया है that Shraman tradition is a tradition which includes Buddhism and Jainism, that means it cannot be having any meaning related to priest with a high status. ठीक है? तो उस वजह से this question could be solved. Otherwise, Parivrajak, Upasaka, again the terms have been asked from this book, A.L. Basham's Wonder That Was India. Parivrajak, wanderers, right? Upasakas from this book. Now this book in the last 2-3 years is being popularly used by UPSC. This is a history of ancient and early medieval India by Upinder Singh. Now this is a book which is optional for you. If you want to do it, you do it. Otherwise, at least you do A.L. Basham's Wonder That Was India. Usually from this book, terms have been picked up. ठीक है? जैसे मैं आपको एक और question दिखाऊंगी on Sangam period, which was asked in this year's paper. So terms have been picked up from this book. Now there are so many terms mentioned. How much can you do it? Right? So it's up to you that if for selected topics you want to do this book, you do it. I'll give you the framework, and now the ball will be on your court, what you have to do. ठीक है? So Upasikas was there in this. Parivrajak was from this book. Shraman was from NCERT. So there are so many sources which you have to do. ठीक है? Then comes question of 2020 paramitas. Paramitas again is an important term used for Buddhism or in Buddhism. Basically they are those bodhisattvas who have attained perfections, right? And this term again is there in your A.L. Basham's Wonder That Was India. Vajrapani, Maitreya, they are all bodhisattva types which have been asked by UPSC. Within this page only, there was a term used paramitas from where the question has been asked. Paramitas or great spiritual perfections. Okay? So from page itself, questions are being made, right? Then comes 2022 on Jain text, right? So the question is on Jain text. Again, I feel that this question is easy if someone has understood the basic typology or basic textual knowledge of Buddhism and Jainism. How? How many of you know Avadanas? Avadanas are part of Buddhist text, है ना? अब इसमें एक option है Avadana Shatak. ठीक है? Again, this is to be taken with a pinch of salt because earlier there was given an elimination scope. Now we don't know. So Avadan Shatak, if you eliminate 3, you arrive at the answer. ठीक है? तो आपको करना क्या है? Even if you have arrived at the answer, you need to know what was Neti Pakaran text all about. 3 Shashtil Kashan Mahapuran Parishisht Parvan सबको पता होता है if someone has gone through Jainism that it deals with Jainism. So you have to prepare these texts. Now what all questions have come on text or literature? तो अगर हम Buddhism Jainism की बात करें, questions have been factual. But when it comes to other ancient texts or other literature, जैसे कालिदास की books, right? Or any other author, they have also gone down to ask you the theme on which that textbook has been written. So don't assume that you only need to prepare author and the text. Certain idea on the theme also needs to be prepared. ठीक है? तो theme of the text is a learning which you have to take. ठीक है? So 2 and 4 is the answer. This question has been asked from this book, Upinder Singh's book. ठीक है? But as I told you, Avadanas, if someone knows, they can find that Avadana Shatak and other few names also in A.L. Pasham. Right? Then comes your 2023 question of this year. Very easy question they can ask in Jainism. Souls are not only the property of animal and plant life, but also of rocks, running water, and many other natural objects not looked on as living by other religious sects. So you all know that Jainism see soul in even animated objects, non-living creatures also. है ना? So the best answer is Jainism. Very easy question which you can get in the history of Buddhism and Jainism questions asked by UPSC. Okay, so such questions should not be missed out for. Then comes your scholars. I told you Buddhist and Jain scholars' names is also important. है ना? Aryadev is a Buddhist scholar. Dignag is a Buddhist scholar. Nath Muni is a Vaishnav scholar. Okay? So only 2 pairs are correctly matched. Again, the source is the exactly page used by the paper setter to pick up the names. This book and see Nagarjun, Vasubandhu Asang, Aryadev, Dignag. So these names are mentioned in that page and question has been asked. Right? So this book for Buddhism, Jainism you can do, but do those topics within the framework which I have told you. Right? Let's see architecture questions. Before looking into architecture questions, let me give you the framework as to how you have to prepare architecture. So when you're doing architecture, temple architecture is very important. Okay? Within temple architecture, there are 3 schools, Nagara, Dravida, and Vesara. You should know the characteristics of each type. You should know the examples of temples of each type, even region-wise. Region-wise, you understand? जैसे अगर द्रविड़ा है, so you should know महाबलीपुरम इज़ अ क्लासिक एग्जाम्पल ऑफ द्रविड़ा स्टाइल. ठीक है, नागरा स्टाइल के सब स्कूल्स भी हैं, जैसे कालिंगा School of Temple Architecture. So even sub-schools within the broader framework is also expected out of you. ठीक है, जैसे आपको पता होना चाहिए चालुक्यन स्टाइल के टेम्पल्स कौन से हैं, राइट. नेक्स्ट एस्पेक्ट इज विद इन आर्किटेक्चर. सो दिस इज टेम्पल. देन कम्स योर बुद्धिस्ट एंड जैन आर्किटेक्चर. टेम्पल्स तो होंगे ही होंगे, stupas, chaityas, viharas, monasteries also you have to prepare. When it comes to Indo-Islamic architecture, your mosques, tombs, etc. you have to prepare, specifically those which have come in news or which are having UNESCO World Heritage Site status. ठीक है, your caves are also an important aspect. ठीक है. Shall I tell you a very easy way to understand how architecture has developed from ancient to modern times? And how you have to easily do this? How many of you have some idea on architecture or what is Indus Valley civilization? ऐसा ना हो ना कि these terms look new to you. You all know what is Indus Valley civilization. सो योर आर्किटेक्चर, देखो बहुत ईजी है, जैसे आपके सिलेबस में लिखा है ना एंशिएंट टू मॉडर्न टाइम्स. इन एंशिएंट टाइम्स यू जस्ट हैव टू मेक इन योर माइंड अ स्टोरी व्हाट ऑल स्ट्रक्चर्स डिड यू सी, राइट. सो इट ऑल स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम केव्स, है ना, प्री हिस्टोरिक केव्स, राइट. उसके बाद क्या आया आफ्टर स्टोन एज? विच एज डिड वी सी? We saw Indus Valley civilization. वहाँ पर हमने क्या structures देखे? Did we see caves over there? We saw citadels, urban structures, houses, towns, street system, etc. है ना. फिर हम आए मॉडर्न टाइम्स में. मॉडर्न टाइम्स में हमें क्या दिखते हैं? अगेन केव्स. केव्स डेडिकेटेड बाय एम्परर टू जैन मॉन्क्स, बुद्धिस्ट मॉन्क्स. वी स्टार्टेड टू सी स्तूपास, चैत्यास, विहारास, पिलर एडिक्ट्स, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट स्ट्रक्चर्स. यही देखते हैं ना हम आर्किटेक्चर में, यही प्रिपेयर करना होता है. पिलर एडिक्ट्स, स्तूपास, चैत्यास, केव्स, विहारास. फिर हम क्या देखते हैं? पोस्ट मॉडर्न टाइम्स. these structures continued, but Buddhist school of art also emerged, जैसे गंधार, मथुरा, अमरावती. फिर हम कहाँ आते हैं? हम गुप्तास में आते हैं. यहाँ से हम देखते हैं टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर, especially in the form of Nagara style, right? In South India, what do we see? Dravida style. In Karnataka, we see Vesara style. What all structures apart from them you see? You see megaliths. Megaliths you see in South India as burial sites. In North India, you see and you prepare burial sites as structures. इसके अलावा can you identify any architectural form or structure form which you have to prepare? The answer is no. ठीक है? As we graduate from ancient to medieval, temples continued. Stupas, viharas also continued. What new structures emerged? Indo-Islamic architecture. है ना? आर्किटेक्चर में यही देखते हैं मिडीवल टाइम्स में, है ना? Another important aspect which I left in ancient Indian history was port. Port पे भी question आते हैं ना? Port. Ports continue during this age also. ठीक है? Architecture is what? A structure which we make, right? Which we construct. It is a man-made activity. So you see ports also, right? You see Indo-Islamic architecture in the form of tombs, mosque, right? You see ports, temples continue, है ना? फिर हम आते हैं मॉडर्न टाइम्स में. यूरोपियन आर्किटेक्चर 3 स्टाइल्स होते हैं, नियो गॉथिक, इंडो सार्सेनिक एंड नियो क्लासिकल. ये तो हो गया थियोरेटिकल एस्पेक्ट ऑफ द मॉडर्न डे आर्किटेक्चर. बट इन जनरल आपने क्या देखा व्हेन यूरोपियंस केम? वी सी अगेन पोर्ट्स, फोर्ट्स, यूनिवर्सिटीज. ऐसा नहीं है कि schools were not there in ancient times. There were towns which were again granted for school activities, है ना? Which were popular as school towns. तो वो भी आपको करना है, right? Ports, forts, universities, railway lines, ये पहले नहीं थी. Banks पहले नहीं थे. And if you talk about contemporary India, the structures have continued with these ones and new have also been added. है ना? That is how very simply you prepare art and culture, a topic within art and culture called architecture. This is the basic understanding. हाँ जी. Indo-Saracenic. ठीक है? ये थियोरी एस्पेक्ट है, जैसे हमारा छत्रपति शिवाजी टर्मिनल, right? Our Connaught Place, right? Our churches in Goa, they fall under different categories of architecture, right? देखो क्वेश्चन पहले तो आते थे, yes. It's not as if they did not ask you about churches or buildings, modern day buildings. Questions did come, but उनके theoretical aspect पे नहीं आते थे. But these monuments had been picked up. Monuments were picked up, right? They were never asked in this form that which is an example of New Gothic, which is an example of Indo-Saracenic, but those monuments, modern day structures had been asked, right? So this is how you understand architecture, yes. Sorry, come again. Pottery. Pottery architecture में नहीं होगा, art forms में होगा. ठीक है? वो that is a piece of decoration ना, इसलिए I did not include in architecture. हाँ, वो तो अभी I have not come to how you have to prepare, but this is how you very simply understand the different kinds of architecture you see from ancient to modern times, right? Now coming to what all you have to do in architecture. ठीक है? अगर हम specifically बात करते हैं temple architecture, so obviously if any architecture is made, any structure is made, you should know in which region it is located. ठीक है? आपको सबसे पहले वो पता होना चाहिए. That means site, right? Second aspect is material used. आपको पता होना चाहिए that Amravati art or Amravati structures were exclusively made up of marble, right? So material used. Next thing is, to which deity or god or any personality that architecture or temple is dedicated to, right? Geography of that temple architecture, if it is located near any hill, river, right? You need to prepare that, right? Next aspect is, depictions. Depiction matlab, other than the main faith of the deity, what all other themes are depicted. Jaise you see scenes of Ramayana, Mahabharat, right? The sculptural representations of the temple. Don't take it very lightly. This has been asked by UPSC in 2014 question. So don't ignore these depictions also, right? Next aspect is, if any temple is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, that also you need to know. So these are some of the aspects which are important. Okay. Next important theme in architecture is caves. Caves पे कैसे question आते हैं? Cave architecture पे, जैसे you should know to which religion that cave is dedicated to, whether it is a Buddhist cave, Jain cave, Vishnu cave, Shaivite cave, right? To which faith that cave is dedicated to. If that cave was, gifted by any emperor to any monk, so which emperor or which time frame basically that cave pertains to, right? Cave paintings, their themes again are important, right? So this is what is important in cave architecture. So let's see the questions, what all have been asked in architecture. Kalyan Mandaps was a notable feature in the temple construction in the kingdom of Chalukyas, Chandela, Rashtrakutas, Vijayanagar. Very easy, static and fundamental question. When you're preparing temple architecture of various dynasties, Kalyan Mandaps become a very important pivotal aspect of Vijayanagar temple architecture. And I was telling you when I was doing modern Indian history session that pictures, boxes, is what UPSC picks up. तो ये आपकी NCERT है, Themes in Indian History Part 2. There is a picture given and a description given of Kalyan Mandap meant to celebrate divine weddings. अब ये भी एक question हो सकता है कि in the context of temple architecture, what was the purpose of Kalyan Mandaps? So you should know exactly that it was meant to celebrate the divine weddings. But that is not to say that these mandaps are only meant for this. Certain royal sacrifices or yagnas were also performed at Kalyan Mandaps. So there can be a futuristic vision. So once you've understood that, okay, there has been a question asked on Kalyan Mandap, you just see it on Google. You know, the purposes or uses of Kalyan Mandap. That's how you prepare your previous year papers. ठीक है, तो easy question था, NCERT से था. This was asked in 2023. It has both static plus current affairs dimension to it. Had it not been in 2023 or 2023, because there has been an excavation done of votive stupas at Nalanda in 2022. So that's why this 2023, January month, this news came, right? So there was mention of, excavation of 1200-year-old miniature votive stupas, right? So stupas that were too old had been excavated. The question आया है stupa पे. This is our analysis that probably this news could have inspired the paper setter. But अगर वो news नहीं भी आती ना, तो भी the concept of stupa is an important aspect of Buddhist architecture, है ना? Otherwise also. So that is how again you have to see this question. The concept of stup is Buddhist in origin? No. This statement can be solved by reading NCERT. I'll show you the source also. Stup was generally a repository of relics. Yes, remains. Relics means remains. So stup was a place of worship having remains or relics of Buddha. Stup was a votive and commemorative structure in Buddhist tradition. The use of word votive is also being used in NCERT, right? So this is also true. Stup was a votive and commemorative structure in Buddhist tradition. अगर आपको votive का मतलब नहीं भी पता है, let's assume that you have not gone through that current affairs का news, but votive and commemorative are used together. So commemorative मतलब in the memory of, है ना, या किसी को dedicate करते हुए, right? Any event. So stup was used as a commemorative structure in Buddhist tradition. This is also true. So 1 is wrong, 2 and 3 are right. So only 2 is the answer. Let's come to the sources. So once you've understood कि अच्छा news आई है on votive stupa, you should know what are votive stupas, right? Secondly, as I was telling you, that the first statement could also be solved by your NCERT, Themes in Indian History chapter, where certain description is given. There it was written that the tradition of erecting stup may have been pre-Buddhist. Pre-Buddhist मतलब Buddhism से पहले के these structures had been made. तो मतलब first statement wrong है, and it was very well given in your NCERT. तो मतलब what learning do you have to take? You know what the problem is? Problem is this. Even once you read this, you don't understand and appreciate the content. आप skip करते हो, बहुत जल्दी read करते हो. You have to understand, basic things. ये बहुत ध्यान से पढ़ने वाली चीज़ें हैं what you get in your NCERT. Don't be in a rush. What happens usually is, what I have found out, NCERTs को तो आप इतनी जल्दी पढ़ लेते हो, right? And once you get A.L. Basham's Wonder That Was India, तो आप उसको इतने slow read करते हो, as if everything whatever has been written is very important, right? No doubt that the things which have been written are very important, but first you do your NCERTs. ठीक है? Every line is very important written in NCERT. ठीक है? अच्छा, votive stupas की बात कर रही थी. Introduction to Indian Art Part 1. Many votive rock-cut stupas all around the hillock have also been excavated. तो अगर किसी ने ये भी पढ़ा है, and those who have read it have not gone out to find the meaning of votive stupas, are the ones who are not reading correctly, right? You need to ring a bell in your preparation कि मैं सही रास्ते नहीं जा रहा हूँ, right? Bell should ring. Everything is mentioned in your NCERT, it's just that you have to explore, right? So there are certain purposes of stup. Stupa stood for axis mundi, symbolize the parinibban. Parinibban matlab death of Buddha. It is a repository of relics. It is a place of worship and veneration. There are different kinds of stup also. Sharirik stup, paribhogika stup, uddeshika stup. Sharirik means जहाँ पर उसके remains, body remains are kept, corporal relics. Name से ही पता चला ना, शारीरिक. परिभोगिका stup is personal belongings are kept. Uddeshika matlab votive stupas, with certain purpose that stup is built. To keep a vow, that stup is built. Vow matlab, votive matlab to take a vow, kasam, right? commemoration के लिए these stupas are built. So there are different purposes to which stupas are built. So when you're doing architecture, you have to prepare stup, caves, temples, right? Then comes your 2021 question. So there are questions asked in ancient, medieval and culture having link with your current affairs, right? So this is how your current affairs questions look like from culture, right? So there was a question on Chauset Yogini temple, right? क्यों ये आया था? Because of our new parliament building, which is made circular. It has been said that the plan of circular building has been inspired from the Chauset Yogini temple. And this was very much covered in your newspapers headings. तो जब ये आपको पता चलता है, you should prepare that temple from the static perspective, right? ये तो अब तक आपको समझ में आ ही गया है. First, it is a circular temple built during the reign of Kachpagata dynasty. It is the only circular temple built. Only की वजह से ये गलत हो गया है. The moment you eliminate two, you arrive at the answer. But third, it was meant to promote the Vaishnav cult in the region. No. तो मतलब, what kind of statement have they asked? Which faith, which deity is worshipped in that temple? So the structure which I gave you of temple architecture, which deity, faith, themes, material, that also is important. Fourth, its design has given rise to a popular belief that it was the inspiration behind the Indian Parliament building. That's correct. So answer is 1 and 4. So ये dynasty भी newspaper editorials में covered थी, right? But nonetheless, you have to prepare such temples when they come in news, right? So that is about it. फिर आते हैं हम literature पे. Literature पे, as I told you, how the questions have been asked. The scholars, right? Those scholars in which dynasty or which king patronized them, or they were part of which king's court. जैसे नवरत्नास होते हैं, है ना, गुप्ता के भी थे. So you know, you have to prepare the scholars, the literateurs of the dynasty or the age. Then after doing this from this perspective, you specifically come to different works written by them. Now coming to works, the names of important books, stories written by them, themes on which those stories or books have been written. They have also been asked by UPSC. Third aspect is that they have also asked, besides themes, names of important books or stories, okay, तो वो themes में ही cover हो जाएगा. So I'll let you know, I'll show you the questions which have been asked by UPSC. So these are the important areas which you will do. ठीक है? Let's see the questions. 2020 question, static and fundamental question. Just read the statements and then you just associate with the framework which we have discussed. Panini is associated with Pushyamitra Shunga. Amarsim is associated with Harshvardhana. Kalidas is associated with Chandragupta, kings, and who patronized which scholar, right? So Amarsimha was also in the court of Chandragupta. So 2 is wrong, 3 is right. Panini is not associated with Pushyamitra Shunga. दोनों का time period ही एकदम different है. So 3 only is the answer. So these are the Navratnas of Gupta King's Court. These names, their works, their themes are very important. इनके names note down कर from the slides. You prepare your own notes on the framework which we have discussed. Different works, the works are not complete. They are the important works but not all the works. ठीक है? तो ये आपको करना ही पड़ेगा. Their themes are also very important. ठीक है? Now coming to NCERT again, why I'm showing this to you, that there are certain dynamic aspects or the link which you have to do. See, there is no one source, that obviously you've got to know, right? But there are certain things written in your NCERT at the back of your chapter, table में, किसी box में. That's why I'm showing this to you. So there is a table given in your NCERT Themes in Indian History Part 1, where there is mention 500 BC Ashtadhyayi of Panini. And you all know पुष्यमित्र शुंगा का टाइम पीरियड क्या है, 200 BC. तो जब आपको पता चलता है कि पाणिनि का टाइम पीरियड ये है, that's how you solve a statement. Nothing will be served on table for you. एक प्लेटर तो आपकी माँ जैसे कोई बनाएगी नहीं, right? That everything is measured and everything is well looked after. ऐसा कोई है नहीं UPSC में जो आपके लिए करेगा. So this is what you have to do. But trust me, you know, if you do your basic things, things are pretty much sorted. What learning do we get from the snippet which I am showing it to you? Time period. Idea on time period will help you to solve many questions. ये बहुत important aspect है history का. Many of you again, have aversions कि मैं ये नहीं कर सकता, कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं है. You pick the index of your ancient medieval book, NCERT, and you will get the time period. At least you will get to know कि गुप्तास पहले आए थे या मौर्यास पहले आए थे. At least basic understanding, or Vijayanagara Empire belong to which time period. Basic time period idea is very important, because I'll show you the questions UPSC is checking on you on time period. जैसे इस particular question में भी, if you can see, it's not only related to whether you know that Panini is associated with Pushyamitra Shunga or not. It's the idea is stemming from the time period. अगर आपको इनका टाइम पीरियड पता है, इनका टाइम पीरियड पता है, which is both covered in NCERT, you can solve this question, है ना? So that's how you have to understand. Then comes 2021 question. Famous authors or playwriters, Bhavbhuti, Hastimala, Kshemeshwara. Now, not all the names will be very familiar to you, right? But at least one or two names has to be known. जैसे भवभूति is very important. अगर आप कालिदास कर रहे हो, आप संस्कृत literature कर रहे हो. अच्छा, another aspect I would like to go before where I gave you the framework. Another important aspect which you can add to this is dimensions to literature. जैसे एक है हमारा religious literature, एक है हमारा सेक्युलर लिटरेचर, राइट? रिलीजियस लिटरेचर में क्या आएगा? आपके वैदिक लिटरेचर, है ना, राइट? सेक्युलर लिटरेचर में क्या आएगा? आपके प्लेज, वर्क्स रिटन ऑन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, जैसे कौटिल्याज अर्थशास्त्र, राइट? पॉलिटी पे कोई वर्क, इकोनॉमी या ट्रेड पे कोई वर्क, that will become part of your secular literature. Within this, there is another dimension. UPSC mostly authors पूछता है संस्कृत literature के, right? So Sanskrit literature में किसने books लिखी हैं? What all books are part of Sanskrit literature is one area. Then comes your regional literature. Regional literature में very important time period is Sangam literature. ठीक है? तो your Tamil texts, Telugu texts, right? Sometimes Kannada texts, Jain texts जो हमारे होते हैं वो कन्नड़ में होते हैं, very popular ones. So this is another area which you can dwell into when you are preparing literature. And this framework applies to mains also, right? आप मेंस के लिए पढ़ो या प्रीलिम्स के लिए पढ़ो, लिटरेचर वही रहेगा. It so happens that if you read it comprehensively like the way I have been telling you, your mains and prelims will go hand in hand, right? Obviously you will focus on more important works, not all the works, है ना? तो आपको हर चीज़ का पता होगा. What if questions come? Questions have come on Sangam period, which I will be showing it to you when we are doing literature, right? So this is how you are going to make sense under this topic, right? Let's see another question. So this is your Kalidas ke time ke. Then comes your pair type question. Factual hai but very important authors and literary work, right? Devi Chandragupta, pehle they have already asked. Vishak Dutt has written Mudra Rakshasa, right? Vishak Dutt has also written Devi Chandragupta. So one is wrong, right? Hamirak Mahakavya, Nayanchand Suri, Milind Panno, although this has been asked by UPSC in 2023, in your NCERT, it's written that Nagarjun is also known as Nagsen, but what we know as Nagarjun is a philosopher, Buddhist philosopher, who has given Shunyata concept. So, what UPSC will give the answer, no one knows yet. But अगर उन्होंने next year इसका answer rule out करा मिलिंद पन्नो as Nagarjun as wrong, that means they are considering it as Nagsen only. नीति का वाक्य मित्र, it is a book on polity by सोमदेव सूरी. अब इसका अगर मैं आपको source बताऊं, so this question had been asked by UPSC in 1997. तो मैंने बोला ना 25 years also are very important for factual topics. So मिलिंद पन्नो, Nagsen is also given, Nagarjun is also given, but the author is Nagsen. That means they are differentiating between Nagsen and Nagarjun. तो अगर NCERT में Nagsen को Nagarjun भी लिखा है in your old NCERT, UPSC has considered it as a different personality. तो मैंने बोला था ना modern Indian history में, UPSC says that there was no horse in Indus Valley, that means there is no horse, right? Whatever they say will be a letter you have to abide by. ठीक है? So this is what we have to make sense. Yogacharya, Madhyamaka, they are all Buddhist philosophies. ठीक है? Shunyata concept, as I told you, is given by Nagarjun. Devi Chandragupta is a work on Ramagupta. Vishak Dutt's Mudra Rakshasa, Devi Chandragupta are all works of Vishak Dutt. Nayanchand Suri has written Hamira Mahakavya, right? So this is what you have to make sense. Then comes question in 2022 on Sangam literature in prelims. In 2013, there has already been a question asked on Sangam literature. तो जो मेंस में क्वेश्चंस आ चुके हैं on let's say literature, architecture, art forms or modern history or ancient or medieval, they are to be prepared. So if question has been asked, because question is also giving you information. So when you read the mains question, what does it say? Though not very useful from the point of view of a connected political history of South India, Sangam literature portrays the social and economic conditions of its time. Matlab, it is giving you a feature of Sangam literature that it has disconnected political history and it reveals information about the social and economic conditions of the time. Question क्या है prelims में in 2022? Sangam poems are devoid of any reference to material culture. मतलब कुछ materialism, economy है ही नहीं Sangam period में. Information you get also from mains का question. No, this is wrong. We do get inferences of socio-economic conditions. So one is wrong. Sangam poems have no reference to warrior ethic. How many of you know the basic typology of Sangam literature? So Sangam poems are divided into two themes, Akkam and Puram. Akkam are the love poems, Puram are the war poems. ठीक है? तो warrior ethic तो है Sangam literature में. So this is also wrong. Sangam literature refers to magical forces as irrational. This is a difficult statement, right? But it does talk about magical forces. Whether it is rational or irrational is what you have to know, right? But if someone knows that society has been very well described in Sangam literature, there are many classes which have been laid down, this is what the correct answer is. This is a basic feature of Sangam literature, or Sangam literature tells about Sangam society, which is very well, or is very well doable. Okay? So sometimes mains questions can also give you insight or information to solve certain prelims questions. तो अब जब हम ये पढ़ते हैं in 2022, right? So these are the 4 varnas which Sangam literature has classified: Arashar, Brahmanas, Vaishyar, Velala. Right? So it has given description. This question has been picked up line by line from this book, right? So Akkam and Puram, I told you warrior ethic is there, right? It also talks about magical things of Ananku that's mentioned in this book, right? Let's come to 2023, again a question on Sangam literature. ठीक है, तो 2022 में आया, theme got repeated in 2023 as well. Which one of the following explains the practice of Vata Kirutal as mentioned in Sangam poem? So when the moment someone saw this question, they got surprised. Surprise मतलब अब ये भी करना है, ये भी करना है, ये भी करना है. करना तो पहले भी यही था, right? Sangam poem and Sangam literature had to be done. Terminologies had to be done, right? How and what actually has been asked by UPSC is what you have to make sense. यहीं पर difference आ रहा है. What is important and what is not important? How are you describing warrior ethic in Sangam poems? What is the war theme in Sangam poem? What kind of examples or terms you have to use in your mains answer to describe that warrior ethic was one of the prominent themes in Sangam poem? तो जब आप इस perspective से देखते हो, then this question does not look factual. Then terms, you have to prepare terms would make sense more to you. That's why every faculty is telling you that you have to integrate mains and prelims preparation. Right? How will you give description of warrior ethic in mains answer? By giving certain examples. सिर्फ ये तो लिखोगे नहीं कि Puram poems are warrior ethic. There has to be certain examples given to describe that yes, warrior ethic was one of the prominent themes in Sangam poem. This term, Vatta Kirutal, is a very prominent example or term used when the king got defeated. He used to commit suicide. What is warrior ethic? कोई मुझे simple भाषा में समझाएगा? What do you understand by warrior ethic? मतलब जो लड़ाई की भावना है, that was an important characteristic of that age. That लड़ाई or warriorness was displayed when the king got defeated. He used to commit suicide, that I'm not a good warrior. I could not save my territory. I could not save my people. And not only king got committed suicide, the soldiers also who were there with him committed suicide, and this committing of suicide after losing a battle in Sangam poem is depicted in the term called Vatta Kirutal. अब समझो इस चीज को, that this term is important, not any other term you have to do. This is how you make sense, right? So when you see this whole idea of UPSC picking up terms, what kind of terms? That means those terms are an important description of the characteristic of that very theme, right? तो but ये question कहाँ से आया? ये question आया again इस book से, Vatta Kirutal. So that means when you are doing important topics, जो मैं आपको दूंगी, कि you have to prepare Sangam literature in ancient India, you have to prepare Vijayanagar and medieval, you have to prepare Bhakti Sufi. That means you have to prepare, right? Then comes questions on music and paintings. Usually what question? Because which book is important, which book is not important, is not only stemming from the fact that most of the questions are coming nowadays from this book. Ab dekho, A.L. Basham also has become very popular. Now this book is not popular. To raise up the difficulty, how many of you were knowing about A.L. Basham? किसी ने प्रीवियस ईयर एनालिसिस देखा नहीं है क्या विजन आईएएस का? आई हैव टाइम एंड अगेन फॉर द पास्ट 5 years से मैं बोल रही हूँ एल बाशम इज इम्पॉर्टेंट, राइट? सो आई assume that एल बाशम is important and is being referred, right? It's not as if this book by Upinder Singh was not picked up, but it was not picked up that frequently. What you can do is, why I consider this book as optional book, optional matlab, there can be selective readings done from this book. जैसे संगम literature हो गया, Buddhism, Jainism हो गया, right? So all these literary aspects, the factual aspects is what you can pick up, right? ज़्यादा ज़्यादा question एक ही आएगा. If you can see, whatever questions I am showing it to you, they are largely doable from your NCERT and your static knowledge, fundamental knowledge of the topics. उसके बाद आते हैं हम A.L. Basham और इस book पे. Yes. देखो, source has to be first your NCERTs and your any class note, standard class note, जहाँ पर culture, ancient medieval has been comprehensively done. It could be any study material, it could be any book, it could be your class notes. But NCERTs have to be picked up. That is your static source. जैसे modern में we can say ना कि spectrum is the static source. In culture there are multiple NCERTs which you have to do. You have to do. And you have to also substantiate with test series or your class notes. Wide है spectrum of ancient medieval and culture. Yes. हाँ. Right? Let's come to music and paintings question. Now, in the last 20 years, although we are doing the analysis of 5 years, but I should give you the themes which UPSC had picked up. So in music, Hindustani and Carnatic music has been touched up by UPSC. जैसे ध्रुपद पूछ लिया था यूपीएससी ने in 2012 or 13 if I am not wrong, right? Carnatic music Trinity has been asked by UPSC. So this area has not been frequently asked but has been asked. And this is again another area from which questions can be asked in future, because this has not been explored in culture much, right? So music is this. Folk music also is important. Folk music में usually pair type questions come. जैसे region and music. Musician communities have also been asked by UPSC. I don't remember the year, but Mangniyar community. Does anyone know about this community? This Mangniyar community belongs to Rajasthan and they are basically related to music, right? So communities, tribal communities or specific music communities have also been asked by UPSC, right? Then in paintings, cave paintings, their themes is very important, right? There is this introduction to Indian art, part 2, which is a new NCERT, not part 1, which is the fine arts book, part 2, which is only book giving you information on paintings. उस book से paintings कर लोगे, it's 80% of your work is done. Rest 20% कहाँ से आ सकता है? current affairs, GI tag paintings. तो GI tag paintings कितनी है? The list is not too much. Approximately 9 or 10 paintings have received GI tag. You have to know their names and their nature. What type of painting is done? जैसे scroll paintings are different from cave paintings. Mural painting क्या होती है? Miniature paintings क्या होती हैं? When you're doing miniature paintings, Pala dynasty is very important. Mughals are very important, right? So this idea of dynasty and type of painting is also important. जैसे मुगल्स ने, as I told you, miniature paintings को ज़्यादा importance दी, portrait painting को importance दी, right? Which ruler gave importance to portraiture is what UPSC had asked. So dynasty, type of paintings, cave paintings, themes, GI tag paintings, any painting which has come in news is what you will prepare in this topic. ठीक है? So let's come to the questions. 2019, with reference to Mia Tansen. Tansen is an important personality in music, right? Which one of the following statements is not correct? Okay. Tansen was the title given to him by Emperor Akbar. This is the wrong statement, right? Tansen composed Drupad. As I told you, Drupad has already been asked by UPSC. Right, on Hindu gods and goddesses. So you should know कि Hindustani music की जो theme है, within the Hindustani music there is a musical school called Drupad. Drupad usually lay emphasis on prayers, music dedicated to Hindu gods and goddesses. ठीक है? तो Tansen composed Drupad on Hindu gods and goddesses. Correct है. He was a Drupad musician. तानसेन कंपोज सॉन्ग्स ऑन हिज पैट्रॉन्स. ऑब्वियसली वो डेडिकेट करता था किंग को, है ना? अकबर ने बोला कि आज मुझे ये राग सुनना है बारिश हो रही है, राइट? तो प्लीज़, हाँ, प्लीज़ प्ले अ सॉन्ग, sing a song, play an instrument. So he used to do that, है ना? तानसेन invented many ragas. This is also correct. So A is the answer. अब source क्या है क्वेश्चन का? Newspaper. There is on Friday in Hindu certain articles come on culture. Friday review कर. So this question came in 2019. There was an article, The Legend of Mia Tansen. देखो टाइटल भी क्या है? मिया तानसेन. क्वेश्चन क्या है? मिया तानसेन. तानसेन भी तो लिख सकता था ना. बट 2018 में ये आया आर्टिकल, क्वेश्चन आया 2019 में. What was the first line? Tansen was the title given to him by Raja Vikramjit of Gwalior. UPSC टेस्ट फ्रेमर ने क्या कर दिया इसको? अकबर. यही रॉन्ग स्टेटमेंट था. So Tansen was the title given to him by Raja Vikramjit of Gwalior, whereas Mia was the title given by Akbar. तानसेन भी टाइटल है, मियाँ भी टाइटल है. राइट. सो दिस स्टेटमेंट ए, देखो आप कैसे फ्रेमर ने बनाया है. फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट यही गलत करी है. जब उसने आर्टिकल पढ़ा, हाँ अकबर ने उसको वो करा था, तो इसको गलत बना देते हैं. दैट्स हाउ इम्पॉर्टेंट the random articles. So it has nothing to do with current affairs as such. It is an article which came in Hindu, right? So there is no current affairs link. It's only a random article which came on musical personality in the Hindu. So if you get any article in the Indian Express or the Hindu, that does not mean that you have to read for culture 2 newspapers. Any newspaper you read, make it a good source, right? Then comes your 2019 question on portrait paintings, illustrated manuscripts to album and individual portrait, which Mughal emperor shifted his emphasis. The answer is Jahangir. ये कहाँ से आया है? Old NCERT. There it's written, apart from painting hunting, battle and court scenes, under Jahangir, special progress. जो ये स्पेशल प्रोग्रेस है ना, ये आपको हाईलाइट करनी है. स्पेशल प्रोग्रेस वाज मेड इन पोर्ट्रेट पेंटिंग. तो क्वेश्चन क्या है? शिफ्टेड एम्फेसिस, special emphasis to portraiture was done by Jahangir, right? Then comes questions on cultural places and sites. Very important topic. So you do get questions on cultural places and sites. Let's see what kind of questions come, and whatever cultural sites and importance has been asked either in geography related to culture or in culture related to culture, you have to prepare them, right? Last 10-15 years ki dekh lo what all sites have come which can be connected to culture, and Google them. This is an activity which you have to do. I'll show you the reason why, right? So in 2020 this question comes. So what all type of questions? One is एक minute. Ancient and their modern names. You have to prepare. What was the place called in ancient times and now what it is called? Not only one name, different names of the site, of a site. ठीक है, इसका मतलब समझ में आ रहा है कि अगर एक साइट को एक नेम से जानते हैं, there were other names as well. You have to know the other names also. Geography of that place, cultural importance of that place. Cultural importance मतलब कि let's say कोई pillar है, some temple is there, some Buddhist site is there, you know, likewise. So that is how questions come. So someone was asking me a question. This topic, this is how you are. हाँ, what to Google? I'll tell you through questions what to Google. ठीक है? And as I said, you have to use Google for this topic. ठीक है? गीतिका मैम ने बताया होगा आपको tourism websites that also come handy. But जितने मैंने questions देखे हैं, right? This is what you can comprise or compress the understanding. From all these things if you do, your topic is prepared. ठीक है? अब ये आपको geography में भी help करता है, history में भी help करता है, you know, in other areas also. जैसे ports पे भी question आ रहे हैं, so every state, specifically coastal states, do have important ports. So on their websites, ports and their significance is also laid down. So prepare from economic perspective also, right? Minerals पता चलते हैं आपको when you go to tourism websites or state websites. So prepare them, right? So this question came, famous place and present state. So ancient or medieval name is given and present or modern day name is given. Modern state is given, right? In which state they are located. भिलसा, मध्य प्रदेश. भिलसा का एक मोस्ट कॉमन नेम है बेडसा और विदिशा. ठीक है? विदिशा को बेसनगर भी बोलते हैं. So when I was telling you that you have to Google, once you come across Bhilsa, you would Google Bhilsa. Ancient names, other names, modern day names. क्योंकि before discussing this, I'll show you another question. So this question came in 2020. 2023 में question आया बेसनगर पे. बेसनगर is same as what is Bhilsa. So if you would have prepared Bhilsa from the perspective which I am telling you, modern day names, ancient names, cultural importance, you would have definitely solved this question, hands down. ठीक है? तो इसीलिए गूगल देवता की हेल्प लेनी है. आप उसको गूगल देवता बोलो, देवी बोलो, whatever you want to say, but it's very important. आजकल की डेट में चैट जीपीटी को भी आप गूगल देवता बोल सकते हो, न्यू फॉर्म ऑफ देवता. So devtas are also changing their forms from Google to chat GPT. हाँ, या लॉन्च हो रहे हैं ना वो मॉडर्न डे अवतार में. सो चैट जीपीटी इज योर information devta of all kinds in today's context, which has replaced Google, right? So भिलसा, मध्य प्रदेश. द्वार समुद्र, तो आप देखोगे कि द्वार समुद्र कहाँ पर है. इट्स नॉट इन महाराष्ट्र, इट्स इन कर्नाटका. गिरिनगर, गुजरात. स्थानेश्वर, एक साइट है हरियाणा में थानेश्वर, उसका दूसरा नाम है स्थानेश्वर. सो UP is also wrong. Answer is 1 and 3 only. That's how you have to use Google Devta, right? This question, Bhaja caves, Sita Navasal caves, they are covered in your NCERT. This was the only problem which was bothering many who gave, prelims attempt in 2023. तो अगर वो भिलसा पढ़े होते तो शायद ये कर लेते, because it is not a Shaivite cave shrine, it is a Vaishnavite cave shrine. ठीक है. Heliodorus has erected a pillar where it was dedicated to Lord Vasudev. So one is wrong. Bhaj and Sita Navasal caves are correct. It's a Buddhist cave, it is a Jain cave. ये आपके NCERT में दिया हुआ है. Bhaj caves is mentioned here. अजंता पीतलखोड़ा भाज, right? भाज केव पिक्चर में भी है, तो वो पूछते हैं भाज केव्स को इन वन ऑफ द ऑप्शंस. सीता नवसल ऑल्सो हैज़ अ पिक्चर, सो दे हैव आस्क्ड अ क्वेश्चन ऑन सीता नवसल केव्स, है ना. सो दैट्स हाउ यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस. देन प्लेस, केव्स एंड देयर ज्योग्राफी. बताया था ना, ज्योग्राफी एंड प्लेसेस. Ajanta caves lie in the gorge of Vagora river. Sanchi Stoop rise in the gorge of Chambal river. Pandu Lane caves, तो अब आपको ये caves भी prepare करने हैं. Where are they located? Any geography related to that? The correct answer to this question is Ajanta caves lie in the gorge of Vagor river. ये आपको मिलेगा महाराष्ट्र की tourism website पे, where Ajanta caves, Vagor river is mentioned. अब आप टूरिज्म वेबसाइट करो, चैट जीपीटी करो, गूगल देवता की हेल्प लो, इट्स अप टू यू. बट यू हैव टू प्रिपेयर इन द फ्रेमवर्क विच आई हैव डिस्कस्ड, राइट. देन डायरेक्ट करंट अफेयर्स मिसलेनियस क्वेश्चंस ऑन आर्ट एंड कल्चर. दिस question looks factual, but it has current affairs link. You may agree or you may disagree with me, I have no problem, ठीक है, but it has current affairs link. Yog Vashisht was translated into Persian by Nizamuddin Panipati during the reign of. अब पहले तो there are so many books written. How many books are you going to prepare? But I have always noticed that whatever books have been picked up by UPSC, either they are very important or they have current affairs link. If such books are asked, you take the help of Google Devta. So we were all affected by COVID, है ना. So there were certain steps taken by the government and our honorable Prime Minister, जिससे हमारा entertainment हुआ था, so-called entertainment. We thought that we are getting entertained, but actually it binded the people together, right? What was that? एक तो candle वाला हुआ था experiment, थाली बजाना, even clapping hands, ताली बजाना, है ना, हुए थे ना ये सब चीज़ें. So there was this article where these methods of binding people together during Corona was refuted, were considered that why are we doing this? It is a kind of a gimmick done by the Honorable Prime Minister. But there was a science behind it, right? So there was this cardiologist who's not anymore with us, Dr. K.K. Agarwal. He used to write many write-ups on Corona. He actually told that when our Honorable Prime Minister's initiative of bringing people together, or when we are clapping hands, these ACE2 receptors are ignited. ACE2 receptors were those cells to which coronavirus attacked, and these receptors are on our very important organs of cells, right? So जैसे gut health पे होते हैं, हमारे intestine में होते हैं, heart में होते हैं, right? So they used to find, coronavirus used to find host in ACE2 receptors, जिसकी वजह से कोरोना वॉज टू स्प्रेड इन आवर बॉडी वेरी शार्पली, ठीक है? तो ये जो क्लैपिंग ऑफ हैंड्स होता है उससे कलेक्टिव कॉन्शियसनेस होती है, एंड व्हेन वी आर हैप्पी, व्हेन वी आर चार्जिंग आवर organs, tapping the body parts, then these ACE2 receptors are ignited, and that's how we were trying to reduce the effect of coronavirus in our body. So there was a science behind it. और ये जो description है of bringing in collective consciousness was written in Yog Vashisht, which was taken the help of and given the justification by Dr. K.K. Agarwal. तो ये तब आई थी, उनके justification में there was a mention of this book. So when you get any mention of a book, you get a question. This is my analysis, right? इसलिए मैं बोल रही हूँ, you agree or disagree, it's up to you, right? But there is a logic why this book has been picked up, right? So it was translated during the reign of Akbar, right? 2022 में again there was a question on current affairs. So Ramanuja statue was unveiled by Prime Minister, right? So usually UPSC does not ask you the current affairs facts in culture. They ask you the static ones. So if any statue is unveiled, if any temple is visited by any government dignitary, Prime Minister, President, Governor, those temples or sites are to be done, right? Any birth anniversary, death anniversary, any mahotsav, any festival, any stamp is dedicated to any cultural or historical personality, that personality is to be done. So this world's second tallest statue in sitting pose on Ramanuja was recently unveiled in 2022. So they have asked which one of the following statements correctly represents the teachings of Ramanuja, right? So there were options given, and the best possible option was, the best means of salvation was devotion. Do you know the genesis of the philosophy, how we do philosophy? Or do I give you the framework of how we have to do philosophy? I'll give you a framework because this was the only question which had come from philosophy after a long while. And it was easy one, right? So I'll just give you the framework how you have to do the philosophy part so that it's easier for you. Very quickly, I'll give it to you. So our Indian philosophy is divided into two thoughts. One is theistic, the other one is atheistic. What is theistic and atheistic? Which accept or reject the authority of Vedas. ठीक है? तो जो एक्सेप्ट करता है वो थीस्टिक है, जो रिजेक्ट करता है वो अथीस्टिक है, राइट? अंडर एथीस्टिक स्कूल्स यू हैव बुद्धिज्म, जैनिज्म, चार्वका, आजीविकास, है ना? In theistic school you have Samkhya, Yoga, Vaisheshika, उत्तर मीमांसा, पूर्व मीमांसा, और कोई? One is left. न्याय, very good. न्याय, ठीक है? Now, then these are these schools, and there is one school which is known as Vedanta. Uttar Mimamsa is known as Vedanta. So your Vedantic philosophies, which are described by Ramanujacharya, Madhavacharya, Shankaracharya, falls under Vedantic philosophy. ठीक है? तो इसमें आपको क्या करना है? You have to do Shankaracharya, you have to do Ramanujacharya, and you have to do Madhavacharya. शंकराचार्य की कौन सी है? अद्वैत. रामानुजाचार्य की, सॉरी, शंकराचार्य इज अद्वैत, रामानुजाचार्य विशिष्ट अद्वैत, माधवाचार्य द्वैत, डुअलिज्म. ठीक है? सो दैट इज हाउ यू हैव टू मेक सेंस ऑफ दीज थिंग्स. कौन सी बुक करोगे? यू हैव टू डू A.L. Basham's Wonder That Was India, and in NCERT these have been described in very simple format, right? The question आया है teachings of Ramanujacharya. ठीक है? हाँ, within this, how you have to prepare them? You have to prepare them in this format. First of all, propounder of the theory or personality associated, idea of salvation. Salvation समझते हो ना? Our end goal. What does these philosophies say? Idea on soul, God and universe. इसके beyond you can not go. ठीक है? यू शुड नॉट गो. अगर इतना भी समझ में आ जाता है अंडर दीज फिलोसफीज, योर टास्क इज ओवर, एटलीस्ट फॉर प्रिलिम्स. मेंस के लिए भी आई फील, राइट? मेंस में क्या आता है? मेंस में आता है द सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ द टीचिंग्स इन प्रेजेंट डे वर्ल्ड. व्हाट इज द रेलेवेंस ऑफ द टीचिंग्स इन प्रेजेंट डे वर्ल्ड is what usually in mains these questions have been asked, right? So that's how you will be doing this. ठीक है? Then comes question of the year 2022. Again, your current affairs related. Prime Minister recently inaugurated the new circuit house near Somnath Temple at Veraval. Which of the following statements are correct regarding Somnath Temple? तो एक तो है, when we are doing temple, the architectural aspect, dynasty aspect. Now UPSC has asked on whether that temple or monument has been described by any traveler or not, right? Pran Pratishtha or installation or laying down of foundation stone was done by which prime minister or president? Now this question should bother you, that do you have to prepare the Pran Pratishtha or who laid the foundation stone for every temple? The answer is no. The ones which have come in news, they have been covered in your newspaper only. It's not as if you are significantly trying to find out from ChatGPT or Google Devta that who has done Pran Pratishtha. No. There was another reason why this Pran Pratishtha of Somnath temple had been asked. So when Ayodhya temple's foundation stone was laid down by Prime Minister, there was again criticism done by few in the newspapers, write-ups. What we found out was that it should not be done because India is a secular country. So if a Prime Minister is laying down a foundation stone of a Hindu temple, it would take the spirit of secularism from India. That was one of the perspective which the newspapers carried. Right. So there was this justification done, given a reference of Somnath temple when the laying of foundation stone was done by President Rajendra Prasad. Right. So those newspaper articles of the times of the years was carrying that. That's why this statement was asked. It's not as if you should prepare it from theoretical basis, but it has current affairs or issue-oriented relevance. right? So Somnath temple is one of the Jyotirling shrines. This is correct. Description of Somnath temple was given by Al-Baruni. This was covered in your newspaper. Pran Pratishtha of Somnath temple was done by President Rajendra Prasad and not S. Radhakrishnan. This was also covered in the newspapers. Okay? So that is how you have to make sense that how the statements are evolving. How UPSC is asking the interview or mains related issues in prelims. This is the objective way of they asking subjective issues in prelims. This is the new insight or learning you get. Okay? So that is how you have to make sense. So answer is 1 and 2 only. Right? So ये newspaper articles were carrying these type of information. ठीक है, हिंदू रिवाइवलिज्म हो गया है, so all these issues were going on. Then comes again current affairs related question. Again 2021, 2020 COVID years थे, right? 2019, 2020, है ना? तो every year there was an annual feast which used to take place in St. Francis Xavier Church. ठीक है? कोविड ईयर में दिस फीस्ट हैपन ऑनलाइन. ठीक है, तो उसका ऑनलाइन डिपिक्शन हुआ था. दैट्स व्हाई दिस फ्रांसिस जेवियर वाज आस्क्ड इन प्रीलिम्स. तो अगेन करंट अफेयर्स लिंक. अब ऐसा नहीं है ऑल ऑफ अ सडन दिस वाज आस्क्ड. दिस हैज करंट अफेयर्स लिंक. So St. Francis Xavier was one of the founding members of Jesuit order. That's correct. Francis Xavier died in Goa and a church is dedicated to him there. He did not die in Goa. He died on a Chinese island and his relics were brought in Goa. Right? So 2 is wrong. 2 को eliminate करते ही answer था. The feast of St. Francis Xavier is celebrated in Goa each year. अब ऐसा नहीं है कि मेरे को सपना आ रहा है and I'm just far stretching कि ये link है वो link है. Even the statements give me the clue, or it should give you the clue. Why have they asked this? कि feast होती है annually or not? Are you understanding? So the feast was what was highlighted. Goa's famous annual feast. Go online. The feast of Francis Xavier is celebrated in Goa each year. Right? So it's not as if I'm just यहाँ से वहाँ कर रही हूँ मैं. I have, you know, confidence and full proof to justify what I'm saying. ठीक है? Then comes your next question. This is very interesting. This is very, very interesting. With reference to India, the terms halbi, ho and kui pertain to. 2021 में question आया. Although this may look factual to you, कि अब do we have to prepare all the tribal languages? Again, the answer is no, no. It has to be done from the newspapers. Halbi, ho, kui. ध्यान से देखना, rappers. Meet the tribal Halbi rappers of Chhattisgarh's Maoist hit Bastar. तो Maoist hit Bastar area से these rappers had sung a song in Halbi. Right? That this news came in 2021, question came in 2021. तो आपको क्या समझ में आ रहा है? कि do not go to library and shut your eyes. That is not to say that you should not study in library, but what I mean is जो library में ऐसे कर कर पढ़ते हैं ना desk के सामने, पता ही नहीं है क्या चल रहा है इधर उधर, right? That you don't have to do. You have to become very upbeat, very modern, very forward-looking. You know, you should enjoy your life. You should have interest in, you know, different activities. ठीक है? तो that's how UPSC is evolving and giving you questions, right? फिर एक और न्यूज़ भी थी. गुहार ऐप was came in Bastar district again in tribal languages, but this is the news from which probably UPSC paper setter has asked a question. क्योंकि this Halbi was becoming very popular. ये न्यूज़ आप कहाँ पर देखते हो? When you follow Twitter, when you follow Insta, Facebook, ठीक है? तो आप restricted activities और sections के लिए you can subscribe, right? Then comes 2023 question, again current affairs link. Flag Code of India, Har Ghar Tiranga campaign. There were amendments done in the Flag Code of India 2002, right? So this question came. Question was extremely difficult, extremely factual, right? क्योंकि इतना तो ठीक है, the ratio of the length to the height of the flag shall be 3:2, वो सबने पढ़ा था, right? कि हाँ ये तो सही है. But उन्होंने खेला कहाँ पर? They played with you by giving 600:400. Again, it's coming out to be 3:2, which looks believable कि हाँ यही होगा. But ऐसा है नहीं. So they played very hard. They hit you hard, right? In few questions, and this is a very difficult question. So statement 1 is not correct and statement 2 is correct. तो flag code तो सबने पढ़ा होगा, amendments भी पढ़ी होंगी. They would have even come to know 3:2. But ये सारे कौन याद रखता? You know, the dimensions in which different flags could be. क्या होना चाहिए उसका, है ना? कोई छोटे होते हैं, कितने बड़े, maximum कितने, right? ये कौन याद रखता है? कोई नहीं याद रखता. So such questions you have to leave. Such learnings what you get, that you have to learn this, can be deleted from your memory. Don't look at this question for any reference, right? The only reference you can get is कि हाँ basic पता होना चाहिए, but इतना कि what all dimensions are there and they are playing with 3:2 only, that's very bad. बहुत ही खराब चीज़ है. Yeah, unethical, very unethical. ठीक है. Then comes your ancient Indian history questions. These are the important topics which you have to prepare. Social and economic life of ancient India, यहाँ से mostly term related questions are asked. Indus Valley civilization पे, I'll give you topic wise also the framework, but understand that these are the important topics. Mauryan period, Ashoka, Sangam period, South Indian history, medicine, science, mathematics, the contribution in terms of literature, personalities is what you will do from all these topics, right? So let's take up the first topic, Indus Valley civilization. Indus Valley civilization पे mains question भी already आ चुका है. Why I'm showing you a mains question? Because there is a purpose. So the question was, to what extent has the urban planning and culture of the Indus Valley civilization provided inputs to the present day urbanization? तो जब हम ऐसे question देखते हैं, we understand that we have to give examples through the findings of the site, which tells us the character or nature of urban planning and civilization of Indus Valley civilization. Yes or no? है ना? तो एक question आता है आप लोगों की तरफ से, that do we have to do all the findings of the sites? This is a probable question, often asked question, कि जब आप Indus Valley civilization करते हो, where do you draw the line? Do you have to remember each site, each finding there? Unique findings in important sites, or sites even which they are not important but having any unique characteristic to dwell upon to make you understand the nature of Indus Valley civilization. जैसे just to give you an example, अगर आपको gold का कुछ मिला तो आप उसको note down करोगे ना किसी site की, है ना? Similarly, on these lines you have to prepare Indus Valley civilization. ठीक है, तो I'll just give you the framework first and then we'll discuss the questions fast. So when you are doing Indus Valley civilization, this framework will do for both mains and pre. First is sites and their findings. Then their location. Location मतलब east west कौन सी है, सबसे northern most कौन सी है, southern most कौन सी है. Certain questions on these lines can also be asked and have been asked. ठीक है, तो sites and their findings, location is what you will prepare. Second is religion. what all inferences you get of religion, the nature of religion found in Indus Valley civilization. क्या था? It was polytheistic and natural and worshipping of genitals. 3 ही कैरेक्टरिस्टिक है, 3 ही याद रखने हैं. जब आप ये 3 कीवर्ड्स को याद करते हो, क्वेश्चन बिकम्स ईजियर. पोलीथीस्टिक मतलब डिफरेंट फॉर्म्स ऑफ गॉड्स वर्शिप, नेचर वर्शिप, ट्रीज like people etc. was worship. Phallic worship, or what is known as worshipping of your genitals or reproductive organs, is what is the characteristic of Indus Valley civilization. फिर हम आते हैं इकोनॉमी के एस्पेक्ट पे कि ट्रेड कैसा था, पोर्ट साइट्स कौन सी थी, कमोडिटीज एक्सचेंज्ड, राइट. बस सील्स. देन योर कल्चरल एस्पेक्ट्स में एंटरटेनमेंट के सोर्सेस क्या थे, what games were played, right? Society, was it class based, was it differentiated? होती थी ना अपर से टैडल, लोअर से टैडल, वो क्या डिस्प्ले करता है, राइट? देन व्हेन इट कम्स टू विमेन, ज्वेलरी पहनते थे या नहीं पहनते थे, विच काइंड ऑफ मेटल वाज यूज्ड, pottery, what kind of artistic elements you could see on jars, what kind of pottery, right? So this is how you are going to do your Indus Valley civilization. Okay, let's see the question and you will understand, how questions have come. Side based question आए थे 2019 and 2021 में. Which one of the following is not a Harappan site? So that means which all sites are, you should know, right? Sogoda was an Ashokan site, so that's not an answer. Desalpur is not usually found in your NCRT, तो इसलिए ये question difficult था. But as I told you that sites specifically you have to prepare. अब चाहे आप AL Basham use करो और उपिंदर सिंह, it's up to you, but you have to prepare important sites. एक site है, a website which you can use for reference, harappa.com. ठीक है, वहाँ पर आपको sites and important information मिल जाएगी of the findings and you can make very short notes, right? Maps मिल जाएंगे and you will get the information. Then comes your 2021 question. It's based on current affairs because Dholavira was given a UNESCO World Heritage Site tag, right? So Dholavira was known for water harvesting and management. So the question was very easy in that year, right? हाँ, jewelry भी आएगा, हाँ, बोला था मैंने. I cannot forget jewelry when it comes to women. So Dholavira became a World Heritage Site, तो इसलिए Dholavira पे question आया था and it was very easy. This is the map what you find in your NCRT. So what you have to do is कि देखो सिंध में कौन सी है, अफगानिस्तान में कौन सी है, इंडिया में कौन सी है specifically, because questions can come on those lines. Which of the following sites are found in India? तो आपको तो अगर आपने notes नहीं बनाए हैं you will get confused, right? तब तो Indian subcontinent था. There was nothing called India as such, right? In present day form. तो आपको पता होना चाहिए that which site is belonging to modern day Afghanistan, Sindh, Baluchistan, India, Gujarat, right? Easternmost, westernmost, northernmost, southernmost, as I told you, has to be prepared. ठीक है? This book again has Desalpur. ठीक है? आई एम जस्ट शोइंग इट टू यू. हरप्पन साइट ये सारी गुजरात में है. देसलपुर इज ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट साइट इन गुजरात. रंगपुर, रोजड़ी, सुरकोटा, लोथल. अब यू नेवर नो, दे गिव यू दैट विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग साइट्स आर इन गुजरात और विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग साइट्स आर नॉट फाउंड इन गुजरात, राइट? सो रीजन वाइज आई टोल्ड यू हैज टू बी डन. ठीक है? So this is the map what you get in your harappa.com. No, that book only, Upinder Singh, Desalpur. ठीक है? So it is a very important route also for trade from Gujarat. Rangpur, Lothal, Surkoda, Kotkuri, Desalpur, right? Desalpur formed a route for inland trade in Gujarat. So that's how you have to understand this. Then comes how you have to use this website. तो अगर UPSC ने options दिए हैं रोपर, राखीगढ़ी, कालीबंगन, कोटदजी, चानूदरो, so you should know which state they are located, what are they famous for, right? So what you will do is, I'm just giving you an example. Let's say I've typed on harappa.com Kottadiji there in search option. I'll get different findings. Now I don't have to note down every finding. Unique ones जैसे coiled basket, जैसे terracotta bangles, जैसे street भी था वहाँ पर, gold sequins भी थे, right? Which you don't get otherwise. Elephant seal, reverse or obverse you find in Kottadiji. पहले तो इतना ही पता हो that in which state it is located. Then comes your unique findings. Female figurines थी, stair-tied disc beads थी, बस 4-5 maximum you write and that's about it. ठीक है? Spotted dog, this is important है ना? हर साइट पे नहीं मिलता है spotted dog. So जब image के साथ देखते हो तो you feel attached to it and you do it. So spotted dog was a finding in Kottadiji. Desalpur कच्छ में है, गुजरात. Why it is important? Because of the massive fortification site है ये. ठीक है? Disproportionately large fortification has been found from Desalpur, right? Then comes your questions on Mauryas, Mauryan dynasty. So when you're doing Mauryas or any ancient medieval dynasty, because we have started doing ancient medieval now, I'll give you the framework in which we have to prepare our ancient medieval dynasties. Again, that framework is important for both mains and pre. Ancient and medieval. So first of all, you should know the dynasty, time period, right? Second, important kings, specifically the founders. Important kings में आते हैं. How do you attach importance to kings? If they have done a very remarkable contribution in, let's say, any cultural aspect or any territory they have subsumed under them, right? Third, contemporaries. आपको पता होना चाहिए कि गुप्तास के कंटेम्प्रेरी कौन से थे, right? चोला चेरा पांड्यास, राष्ट्रकूटास. So how, you know, contemporaries in a different time period or in our time period have been. Next aspect is travelers' accounts. Who all travelers came, from which country, from which profession. Profession भी पूछते हैं वो. What are their observations? ऐसा नहीं है कि observations mains में ही पूछी गई हैं. In prelims also there have been accounts asked of Yuan Sang Payan in prelims question paper. So this is important. Next aspect is your cultural aspects in any dynasty. जैसे आपको पता होना चाहिए temples कौन से build करे, paintings, dance, music, etc. Right? Reasons for their growth and decline. Last aspect is invasions done in their reign or dynasty by, let's say, Hunas, Mongols, Turks, Nadir Shah, Genghis Khan, right? एक मैं भूल गई, economic and administration of that dynasty or a king, right? Specifically यहाँ पर आते हैं आपके terminology based questions, ठीक है? Society aspect, गुप्ता सोसाइटी कैसी थी, संगम सोसाइटी कैसी थी, societal, economic, administrative aspects is also what is asked by UPSC. So that's how you will prepare whether it is mains or prelims. ठीक है, अब आते हैं हम questions पे. Okay, I'll wait. हो गया? Not many questions are left. So let's come to Mauryas. So you will prepare Mauryas from that framework perspective, right? Sites, major pillar edicts, minor edicts, वो आपका architecture का part होगा, right? But these sites are important. Time period is important. Let's see the question. In 2019, there was this question, which of the following relief sculpture inscriptions is Ranyo Ashok, King Ashok mentioned along with stone portrait of Ashok? ये जो अशोका के names हैं, like Piyadasi, Ranyo Ashok, the sites or the edicts where these have been mentioned, have been hot favorites of UPSC. After a very long time, this question has been asked, but 15 years back, 20 years back, there have been questions on the names of Ashok and their sites, right? So all these sites are important, Ashokan sites, and at Kanganhalli, the Ranyo Ashok name was mentioned. Ab source है यही book. Upinder Singh's, because you know Kanganhalli was mentioned specifically with the portrait and name Ranyo Ashok, and the description was given. Brahmi letters read Ranyo Ashok, and the site was described Kanganhalli. So as I told you, whether you do from this book or ChatGPT or Google Devta, it's up to you. The idea is that I'm giving you themes on which questions have been asked by UPSC. ठीक है? 2022 में question आया on Ashoka's major rock edicts and the state or the region. Dholi, Odisha, Dholi is mentioned in your NCRT. Eragudi is also mentioned in your NCRT map में, right? It's in Andhra Pradesh. Jogada is not Madhya Pradesh but Odisha. Kalsi is in Uttarakhand, so Karnataka is also wrong. Dholi, Eragudi is correctly matched. Answer is B. Right? तो ये आपका NCRT का map है. 6th और हाँ 6th class NCRT. कलसी देखो यहाँ mentioned है, जोगाड़ा is mentioned, येरागुडी is mentioned, मस्की is mentioned, धौली आपका I told you is already mentioned in your fine arts का book. So these are the important areas from which UPSC has recently in 5 years asked question on Mauryas. ठीक है? So you can do this topic. Then comes on a literature, Kautilya's Arthashastra. अब इस question के लिए I want to add with a very heavy heart कि बहुत मुसीबत है, मतलब for you guys, I can empathize that, you know, on top of it that you have to do 15-20 years का analysis and at least the topic framework you need to know. Secondly, even if you find the source, which is very static one, recommended one, और UPSC उसके description को गलत मान लेता है, now what will you do? So it's very sad. I can understand. But जैसे मैंने बोला, UPSC can do anything. You have to abide by what the answer is given by UPSC. Kautilya's Arthashastra and the description given, this question could be answered from your NIOS material. How many of you have done or have heard about NIOS material? Okay, so NIOS material is used by aspirants who want to understand history in a very simple manner, because usually NCRTs are still difficult to be comprehended. NIOS material is considered to be more simply written. ठीक है, तो आपके NIOS मटीरियल में स्ट्रेट अवे जैसे क्वेश्चन आया है, अ पर्सन कुड बी अ स्लेव एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ द जुडिशियल पनिशमेंट. The Arthashastra states that a man could be a slave by birth, by voluntarily selling himself, by being captured in war, or as a result of judicial punishment was mentioned. ठीक है, but ये आंसर UPSC ने नहीं माना है. First is considered wrong by UPSC. I don't know by what logic, right? But you know, in sources other than this also, we have found out that yes, this is the reason of a person to be considered as slave, कि हाँ जुडिशियल पनिशमेंट मिली तो हमने उसको बंदी बना लिया, जेल में काम करेगा, इससे अच्छा हम काम करवा ले. दैट कुड बी दी लॉजिक ना. तो दिस वॉज अ कंडीशन मेंशन, बट एज आई सेड, इफ आंसर इज गिवन बाय UPSC, यू हैव टू बिलीव दैट एंड मार्क दैट थिंग. हाँ, कर सकते हो मगर कुछ होगा नहीं. आइदर UPSC विल ड्रॉप द क्वेश्चन or they will give you a answer like that, right? So 2 and 3 only is the answer, but otherwise if you'll search on net also in standard textbook, this is correct. So isliye there is a word of caution, right? Then comes questions on Gupta Empire. Again, their sites are important, their extent is important, framework will remain the same, important kings, reasons for their decline, contemporaries, Chinese travelers who came during Gupta times, culturally how important Gupta period is. That's all you will do, right? Let's see the question. With reference to forced labor, Vishti is a term used for forced labor during Gupta period. Which one of the following statements is correct? It was considered as a source of income for the state, a sort of tax paid by the people. It's totally absent in MP and Kathiawar region of the Gupta Empire. Forced laborer was entitled to weekly wages. The eldest son of the laborer was sent as the forced labor. So there is no logic applied to such questions. Either you know it or you don't know them, right? But if someone knows something about Vishti, they know that okay, it is considered a source of income for the state, a kind of a tax. Okay. If I'll give you the source exactly, because the line which has been used by UPSC that was not present in Madhya Pradesh and Kathiawar region, again is coming from this book. The fact that most of the inscriptions referring Vishti come from Madhya Pradesh and Kathiawar. उन्होंने गलत बना दिया इसको कि we don't find any reference. So that means this book is your Devta, Devi, right? This book is being used by the UPSC paper setters. But I still feel कि अगर कोई Vishti पढ़ रहा है from your class notes or any standard textbooks, they would be able to come to this, right? Next comes your this question. Decline of Gupta's के time पे until the rise of Harsha. So there was a rise of certain kingdoms, right? End of Gupta's, before the rise of Harsha, there were certain regional kingdoms or kings, right? Which of the following kingdoms were holding power in northern India? ठीक है, तो ये जो पेरिफेरी स्टेज है, ट्रांजिशन की स्टेज है, अगेन यूपीएससी इज पिकिंग अप क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम दोज लाइंस. और एज, जैसे अर्ली मिडीवल, डिक्लाइनिंग ऑफ एंशिएंट टाइम पीरियड, और विद इन द डायनेस्टी डिक्लाइन ऑफ गुप्तास until the rise of Harsha, who all were existing. ये दो significant dynasties है which you prepare, Guptas and Harsha, उसके बीच में भी तो होंगी ना. That's what UPSC has asked. ठीक है. तो अगेन दिस वाज एलिमिनेटेबल इफ समवन नोज कि पुष्यभूतिज ऑफ थानेसर वर देयर आफ्टर द डिक्लाइन ऑफ गुप्ता, बिकॉज ये बहुत स्टैंडर्ड फैक्ट है विच इज यूज्ड बाय यूपीएससी. सो 3 हैज टू बी देयर इन द आंसर. सो बी और सी ही ऑप्शन बचते हैं, राइट. सो इफ यू नो अबाउट दिस टॉपिक यू विल मार्क 1, 3, 4 एंड 6. सोर्स योर रोमिला थापर, एग्जैक्ट सोर्स. देखो लाइन से, गुप्ताज ऑफ मागध, मॉकरीज ऑफ कन्नौज. गुप्ताज ऑफ मागध, मॉकरीज ऑफ कन्नौज. पुष्यभूतिज ऑफ थानेसर, मैत्रिकाज ऑफ वलाबी. यही आंसर है, पुष्यभूतिज और मैत्रिकाज ऑफ वलाबी. 1, 3, 4 एंड 6. ठीक है, बहुत मेहनत जाती है to find the exact source, but don't get confused. Believe in yourself, trust in yourself. Just understand the time periods which are being focused by UPSC, right? If you don't have information in your standard textbooks or class notes या test series में भी cover नहीं हुआ है, the learnings which you are getting from this session is what you have to follow on. जैसे trading the path of bodhisattva ना, मैं हूँ आपके केस में bodhisattva. You have to trade the path which I am showing it to you, right? Significant places, pilgrimage sites in ancient India, what UPSC has asked. This is both static and dynamic. There have been places which have been covered in newspaper. जैसे बुर्जा होम सबको पता है ना, is a prehistoric site. गणेश्वर कॉपर आर्टिफैक्ट्स मिलते हैं, रॉकेट श्राइन्स नहीं हैं बुर्जा होम में, राइट. चंद्रकेतुगढ़ was covered in your newspaper. ठीक है, द ईयर विच वॉज आस्क्ड 2021. 2021 में आया था हेरिटेज पैनल प्लान्स इंटरनेशनल सेंटर एट चंद्रकेतुगढ़. तो चंद्रकेतुगढ़ was asked by UPSC and it is an important site of terracotta art as well as it was a Buddhist site. Buddhist sites are again UPSC is what asking question. उससे पहले भी प्लान्स तो बन ही रहे थे ना, तभी UPSC वालों ने पूछा है. अक्टूबर में हुआ था ना कोविड की वजह से, सितंबर में न्यूज़ थी. ठीक है, इवन सितंबर 7, तो 15-20 days, 1 month का भी न्यूज़पेपर यू आर हैव टू डू. ठीक है, देन कम्स दिस क्वेश्चन. धन्य कटक फ्लरिश्ड एज अ प्रोमिनेंट बुद्धिस्ट सेंटर अंडर द महासंघिकास लोकेटेड इन. अब अगेन एज आई टोल्ड यू बुद्धिस्ट जैन साइट्स आर इम्पॉर्टेंट. This question was doable from your NCERT. However, no one knows the region because it's not written in your NCERT, but it's depicted in your NCERT in a map. ठीक है, तो धन्य कटक was an important site. It's close to Amravati. In some sources, you will also get that it is the other name of Amravati. So you should know. It's important. ठीक है, तो जो भी साइट्स आपको मिल रही हैं, जैसे मोस्ट ऑफ द साइट्स आर नोन टू यू कि हाँ यू नो वेयर इज श्रावस्ती, वेयर इज कोशाम्बी, राइट, व्हाट इज इट फेमस फॉर, एंड देन इमर्ज योर धन्य कटक. सो इफ यू डोंट नो, टेक द हेल्प ऑफ गूगल एंड गूगल इट. ठीक है, तो पूछा इतना ही है कि धन्य कटक कहाँ है. सो इवन इफ समवन नोज द रीजन दैट इट्स इन आंध्र प्रदेश, दे कैन सॉल्व दिस क्वेश्चन. आपको क्वेश्चन से इंफॉर्मेशन मिल रही है दैट इट इज एन इम्पॉर्टेंट महासंघिका साइट, राइट. It is a Buddhist site, but UPSC is only asking you the state to which it belongs to, right? Then comes your very static, very easy question, right? But it has a current affairs relevance again. So 2023 this question was asked, and 2023 January there was this undersea ancient port city of Pumpohar was excavated as claimed by researchers. ठीक है, तो that's how they got the evidence that yes there was a Pumpohar city, right, under sea. तो क्वेश्चन शायद हो सकता है इसलिए पूछा हो, बट अदरवाइज ऑल्सो दे आर इम्पॉर्टेंट पोर्ट साइट्स. कोरकाय, पांड्यास, पुम्पहार को कावेरी पट्टनम भी बोलते हैं, पुहार भी बोलते हैं. इट इज़ अ इम्पॉर्टेंट चोला पोर्ट. मुजिरिस, मुचिरी, केरला, राइट. Cheras. So that's how you understand that they are port sites. Then comes your very unconventional and very difficult question on sites and their location. With reference to period of Gupta dynasty in ancient India, the towns Ghantashala, Kadura and Chaul were known as, right? Very difficult question. ऐसे questions को I feel that you should leave if you don't know anything. ठीक है? But it does have current affairs significance. I am just showing it for you to just have a reference, right? But this question is difficult. These are ports for handling trade. Ghantashala, Kadura, Chaul. इसको Google करना है because this question has already been asked by UPSC and just know certain more information about it, right? So Ghantashala Buddha statue was unveiled. And that's why this question came in 2020. 2019 में this was done. ठीक है? तो घंटाशाला अगर आया, you just Google. इसीलिए UPSC शायद बोल रहे हैं that you have to study on your own certain things, right? So once you see that there has been a statue unveiled at घंटाशाला, you see the importance. देखो अगर question में ये नहीं होता तो current affairs relevance नहीं होती. Had it been only Kadura and Chaul, then this question also has to be very difficult. अगर कोई करंट अफेयर्स न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ रहा है, दे आर गूगलिंग, दे आर ट्राइंग टू नो स्टफ, देन सर्टन क्वेश्चंस इन पेपर कुड बी डूएबल. ठीक है? Then questions on terminologies, how do they look? As I told you, economic, social, administrative terms in ancient and medieval age is what they are asking. With reference to history of India, the terms Kulyavap and Dronavap denote. I find these and I categorize these questions as very difficult because there are so many terms available, but there are certain dynasties which you can prepare. ठीक है? तो जब हम इनकी बात करते हैं, there are certain dynasties which you need to prepare. जैसे अगर हम ancient times की बात करें, Guptas and the terms mentioned, चाहे आप वो उपेंद्र सिंह से करो, एल बाशम से करो, it's up to you. But Gupta dynasty is what you have to cover. Then comes your in medieval, your Vijayanagar. In ancient time period, Sangam period. ठीक है? सतवाना से भी पूछ लेते हैं वो, right? भक्ति सूफी, Mughals. Of late, they are also asking terms from Delhi Sultanate. ठीक है? So these are the area dynasties or time period which they are asking, and the themes are economic, social, and administrative, right? So Kulyavap and Dronavap are the terms used for the measurement of land during Gupta period. ठीक है? क्वेश्चन का सोर्स है दिस बुक. कुलियावाप, द्रोणावाप, ये सब मेंशन है यहाँ पर. अब अगेन इट्स अप टू यू कि कितने टर्म्स आप लर्न कर सकते हो, राइट? मिडीवल इंडिया के क्वेश्चन स्टार्ट करते हैं. देर आर ओनली फ्यू क्वेश्चंस एंड आई विल ओनली टेक हाफ एन आवर. These are the areas, as I told you, Bhakti Sufi term related questions, Vijayanagar, Mughals is what you have to focus, right? And the new trends are early medieval kingdoms. I'm again repeating early medieval kingdoms, जो कि आपकी 8th century से 12th century तक हैं, right? After the decline of ancient times, rise of early medieval 8th to 10th, 12th century is what UPSC is asking. 8th to 11th or 12th is what they are asking. मतलब declining of ancient time period and rising of medieval time period is what they are asking. Let's see the questions. पहले हम दिल्ली सल्तनत और मुगल्स के क्वेश्चन देखते हैं because these questions have been difficult and they are also asking the political aspect. जो political aspect है, usually they are, you know, now framing statements by asking particularly invasions, जो मैंने आपको framework दिया भी है कि who has done in which year, you know, invaded certain territory. तो invasions बहुत important topic है. Then when we see political annexation, founders of the kingdom, and time period again is what UPSC is playing in medieval Indian history. Bhakti, Sufi, Vijayanagar will remain, but ये थोड़े से नए aspects है which UPSC is asking in medieval, right? Let's see the question. 2019 में there was a question on difference between Jagirdar and Zamindar. So one starts with medieval Indian history and the economic aspect of Mughals. One does Jagirdari and Zamindari system, Mansabdari system. So the question is very decent and fundamental. ठीक है, तो लैंड असाइनमेंट्स टू जागीरदार्स वर हेरिडिटरी एंड रेवेन्यू राइट्स और जमींदार्स वर नॉट हेरिडिटरी. इट वाज हेरिडिटरी फॉर जमींदार्स. ये जो स्टेटमेंट है आपको आपकी एनसीईआरटी में मिल जाती है, राइट. इवन जागीरदार्स वर होल्डर्स और लैंड असाइनमेंट्स इन लिeu ऑफ जुडिशियल एंड पुलिस ड्यूटीज. आपको पता है जागीरदार्स वर लैंड ग्रांट्स बट दे वर नॉट स्पेसिफिकली गिवन for they performing judicial and police duties. So agar basic concepts clear hai, this answer is or this question is manageable. Answer is neither one nor two. Both the statements are not correct. Then comes Delhi Sultanate ka question on Iqta system. Terms like Amil, office of Mir Bakshi, they are all terms and posts of economic and administrative importance. Iqta system bhi aapka NCERT mein given hai, right? So again this question is static and fundamental one. In the revenue administration of Delhi Sultanate, the in charge of revenue collection was Amil. That's correct and it's given in your NCERT. Iqta system of sultans was an ancient indigenous institution. Iska matlab hai it was born in Indian subcontinent? No. It was existing during the caliphate time period and region also. The second is wrong. The office of Mir Bakshi came into existence during the reign of Khalji sultans. Again Mughals ke time pe aaya tha Mir Bakshi. So third statement is wrong, right? So administrative economic posts departments is what you have to focus, right? Then comes question on again your invasions and Tughlaqs, right? Just see the statements and then you'll understand what we have, why we have adopted that framework. It was during the reign of Iltutmish that Genghis Khan reached the Indus in pursuit of the fugitive Khwarezm prince. तो एक तो आपको पता होना चाहिए किसके टाइम पे who came, right? And for looking out for whom. ठीक है, तो ये कौन है? ये जलालुद्दीन है. तो अगर क्वेश्चन में नहीं है यू हैव टू फाइंड इट आउट, राइट. सेकेंड, इट वॉज ड्यूरिंग द रेन ऑफ मोहम्मद बिन तुगलक दैट तैमूर ऑक्यूपाइड मुल्तान एंड क्रॉस्ड इंडस. अगेन हु केम ड्यूरिंग whose reign? It was during Devraya II of Vijayanagar Empire that Vasco da Gama reached the coast of Kerala. So which invader came, which explorer came, under whose reign, which dynasty is what you have to prepare. ठीक है, आंसर वन ओनली है, दोनों गलत हैं बिकॉज दोनों के टाइम पीरियड्स बहुत ही डिफरेंट है. सो मोहम्मद बिन तुगलक टाइम पीरियड वाज 1324 to 1351 and Taimur came in 1370. Devraya II died in 1446 and Vasco da Gama came in 1498. तो टाइम पीरियड एज आई टोल्ड यू इज इम्पॉर्टेंट. ठीक है, सो दिस बुक सतीश चंद्रा इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इन मिडीवल इंडियन हिस्ट्री. ठीक है, ये पूरा क्वेश्चन इस बुक से हो सकता था. योर एनसीईआरटी और ऑक्सफोर्ड पब्लिकेशन इज व्हाट यू कैन लुक फॉर, राइट. देन कम्स अनदर क्वेश्चन ऑन इन्वेजन्स एंड टाइम पीरियड. 2022 में आया, the first Mongol invasion of India happened during the reign of Jalaluddin Khalji. Second, during the reign of Alauddin Khalji, one Mongol assault marched up to Delhi and besieged the city. Third, Muhammad bin Tughlaq temporarily lost portions of northwest of his kingdom to Mongols. So Mongol invasion. Turks, Tughlaq. As I told you, invasions कर लो. अगर political history नहीं करनी है of all the battles they have fought, at least do invasions and time period, right? So 2 only is the answer. First is also wrong, third is also wrong, right? Muhammad bin Tughlaq did not lose any portion of northwest to Mongols, so this is also wrong. So Satish Chandra, again the same book, easily doable if you prepare Mongol invasions, right? Then comes administrative structure of Delhi Sultanate. Pargana Sarkar, Suba Sarkar, Pargana Suba, arranging in ascending to descending order, right? So सबसे छोटा, sometimes you get confused in ascending. So from the smallest to largest. So Pargana Sarkar Suba, village, ये question आ चुका है, मुकद्दम्स and khats by UPSC. So village was managed by मुकद्दम्स, right? They were village headmen. Village के ऊपर थे परगना, they were sub districts and they were managed by शिकदार, they were executive officers. Then comes Sarkar, the district level, and they were managed by Faujdar, who looked after law and order, Amalguzar, who collected revenue. Then comes your largest tier, that is the provincial level, Suba, by Subedar, who was the governor. ठीक है? So hence the answer is A. Then comes questions on Bhakti Sufi movement. Here I must tell you that when you are doing NCRT, tables and boxes, chronology, contemporaries, time period, terms, to which god they worshipped or devoted to. Their poems were called what? Personality-based questions are also being asked. So different Bhakti saints, different Sufi saints, their region, their poems, their teachings, terms, contemporary, kiske time pe the, which king, chronology, boxes, everything you have to do. Okay? Questions have been difficult from this section. Again, you have to take help of Google as much as you can of the topics which have already been asked and the information which is given in your NCRT. Even if you do only the information given in your NCRT by Googling them, that will also suffice. ठीक है, रेस्ट तो टेस्ट सीरीज या स्टैंडर्ड क्लास नोट्स तो आपको रेफर करने हैं, राइट? क्या था? गॉड्स whom did they worship, personally devoted, poems. उससे पहले क्या था? हाँ, terms. Question which came in 2019, contemporary. Saint Nimbark was a contemporary of Akbar. Saint Kabir was greatly influenced by Sheikh Ahmad Sirhindi. दोनों के ही टाइम पीरियड एकदम डिफरेंट है. इंफॉर्मेशन कहाँ से मिलती है? ये आपको टेबल मिला है NCERT में, थीम्स इन इंडियन हिस्ट्री पार्ट 2, भक्ति सूफी ट्रेडिशंस. देयर इज मेंशन कबीर 1400-1500, शेख सिरहिंदी 1600-1700. ठीक है, जब आप अकबर प्रिपेयर करते हो, सेंट निम्बर्ग वॉज अ कंटेम्प्रेरी ऑफ रामानुजाचार्य 11th सेंचुरी 12th सेंचुरी. तो अकबर तो कब थे? 1550s 60s 70s, है ना? तो वेरी ड्रास्टिक डिफरेंस, ह्यूज डिफरेंस इन दी टाइम पीरियड. तो थोड़ा इंफॉर्मेशन आपको पता होना चाहिए. देन कम्स क्वेश्चन ऑन अर्ली मिडीवल डायनेस्टीज और सिग्निफिकेंट डायनेस्टीज. ठीक है, this is what I was talking about. Regional dynasties or dynasties which existed between a prominent dynasty, right? जैसे Chandelas, Parmars, Gurjar Pratihar, Rashtrakutas, they are regional dynasties and dynasties which flourished in the 7th to 10th century, 11th century. ठीक है, तो ये आपको करने हैं. एंड द किंग्स विच दे हैव आस्क्ड, दे आर वेरी प्रोमिनेंट वंस रिलेटिंग टू डायनेस्टीज. जैसे नानुक और जय शक्ति बिलोंग टू चंडेलास. नागभट एंड बोज, they are part of Gujjar Pratihar dynasty. They are kings of Gujjar Pratihar, right? अब Gujjar Pratihar was in news in 2020, right? So this is a far-stretched link, but still, if any dynasty comes in news, you prepare them. At least the founders or important kings who have done contribution, right? So only two pairs are matched: Nanuk Chandel and Nagbhattu Gujjar Pratihar. Okay. This can be doable from your 7th class का NCERT and your NIOS material as well, right? तो आप देख लेना, as I told you, I'll give you the list of NCERTs in the end, but NCERTs are important, right? Then comes your another question on dynasties in 2023. How many of the dynasties established their kingdoms in early 8th century? यही मैं बोल रही हूँ कि ये जो टाइम पीरियड है हैज़ बीन एक्सप्लोर्ड. हाउएवर जो टाइम पीरियड यूपीएससी ने दिया है, ऑल द डायनेस्टीज डू नॉट पर्टेन टू early 8th century, 11th to 12th centuries. Hoysalas, Gaharwalas, Kakatiya, Yadavs of Devgiri, they all belong to 11th to 13th century. ठीक है, तो none is the answer. तो कभी कभी ना again don't get fooled by the kind of question कि एक तो होगा, right? If you know it, then only attempt it, otherwise leave such questions. But this is one area which I am talking about is being asked by UPSC, right? Then comes your regional kingdoms, जैसे Hyderabad, Vijayanagar, Rohilakand kingdom. Again, these are those areas which are frequently being asked by UPSC. Nizamat of Arcot emerged out of Hyderabad state. It's a legal dependent state of Hyderabad, but did not emerge out of it. So first is wrong. Mysore kingdom emerged out of Vijayanagar empire. This is correct. Rohilakand kingdom was formed out of territories occupied by Ahmad Shah Durrani. This is wrong. आपको पता होना चाहिए दुरानी कहाँ से आए थे, रोहिलाखंड कहाँ है. So that's how you make sense. आपके modern India बिपिन चंद्र के chapter में जो first chapter है, Rise of Indian States and Society. This is another important chapter which you can focus. Either you classify it in medieval or modern, it's up to you, but I classify it in medieval only because of the kingdoms we do, right? But they have been asked, there have been a mains question also on the rise of regional kingdoms in mains, right? So ye area has been explored in mains also and now in prelims also, ठीक है? Then comes your 2023 question, medieval Gujarat, Portuguese, advent of Portuguese, Europeans, the king who was present at that point of time, again is what is being asked by UPSC. So who among the following rulers of medieval Gujarat surrendered due to Portuguese? Bahadur Shah, NCERT में मिल जाएगा आपको, so it's a very easy question, right? But just remember kings, dynasty, Europeans, who was present, right? Terminology related questions. हाँ, जो मैं बोल रही थी कि थोड़े difficult है, either you know them or you don't know them. Which of the following phrases defines the nature of hundi? Hundi otherwise also in common parlance has been used, right? So hundi is a term used for bill of exchange, a promissory note that I will pay you at a later date. Right? So C is the correct answer. अब इसके लिए कोई book की ज़रूरत नहीं है, but otherwise also hundi is used. हाँ 8th class में है, आपने किसी का commerce background है, they also know banking and all. So it's a very frequently known or asked term. Then comes your fanam. In medieval India, the term fanam referred to. Fanam and Tara were the coins used by Vijayanagar kingdom. Right? So that means Vijayanagar kingdom, the terms used there, right? So Fanam and Tara were coins. So Vijayanagar kingdom becomes important, right? Then comes a term called Kulha Daran. This is from Delhi Sultanate topic. Kulha Daran is a term used for Sayyids because of the cap they wear. ठीक है? ये इस type के cap को Kulha Daran बोलते थे. Right? Sayyids used to put a pointed cap called kula and they were known as kula daran. Daran kiya unhone kula ko, cap ko, right? However, source to this question is a very unknown book. So you can skip such questions. But अगर आप Delhi Sultanate कर रहे हो from your NCERT, you can prepare certain terms on these lines. ठीक है? Vijayanagar dynasty पे again the framework will remain the same. There are only 2 questions. एक तो traveler or accounts. According to Portuguese writer Nunes, the women in Vijayanagar Empire were expert in which of the following areas? Otherwise also, question क्या पूछ रहे हैं वो? Women, ठीक है? अब देखो हर फील्ड में women है, right? Only confusing option is this कि रेसलिंग में होती थी उस टाइम पे या नहीं होती थी. सो न्यूनेस का अकाउंट है, यस दे वर रेसलर्स, दे वर इन्वॉल्व्ड इन एस्ट्रोलॉजी, अकाउंटिंग, सूदसेइंग. व्हाट इज सूदसेइंग? दोज हु कैन फोरटेल योर फ्यूचर. ठीक है, तो वैसे भी सिक्स सेंस बोलते हैं ना, वो वैसे ही बोल देते हैं आप ये दोस्त बड़ा गंदा है, ये दोस्त से बच कर रहो, ये वो वैसे ही फ्यूचर देख लेती हैं. सो दैट्स हाउ यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड अबाउट एनी डायनेस्टी. देखो कुछ तो चीज़ें ना हंसी मजाक में सीखा करो, ऐसा नहीं है कि सबको आपको थियोरेटिकली ही देखना है. सो व्हेन यू रीडिंग अबाउट विजयनगर एम्पायर एनी अकाउंट, जस्ट मेक अ फन ऑफ इट एंड अंडरस्टैंड, राइट? व्हाई डू यू मेक द प्रिपरेशन सो बोरिंग एंड so difficult? It's not, right? You will make it, then only it becomes difficult and boring. Otherwise, it's interesting. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 is the answer, right? Then comes question on Vijayanagar Empire again. Who constructed a large dam across Tungabhadra River and a canal come adequate several kilometers long? It's Devraya one. Again, this is NCERT based question. Okay? Then we end this session. There are certain learnings which we can take when we summarize the whole session of history, whether it's modern or medieval or ancient or culture. There are certain common learnings. Stick to fundamental books. Test series को source बनाना ही पड़ेगा, specifically in areas like history which are factual. Important topics ko you have to prepare in depth, right? Whatever topics I have given it to you on the basis of the last 15-20 years, the learnings which I have given you, the trend analysis which I have given you, you have to prepare certain in-depth analysis or parts on them. Chronology ko you don't have to ignore, right? And always link the current affairs with the static ones. Now coming to the sources, on the basis of whatever questions have come so far, in ancient India, we can identify first the NCERTs. This remains your old and new ones, right? There is A.L. Basham's Wonder That Was India. Third, it is Upinder Singh's book on ancient India. These are the 3 sources which are frequently used by UPSC to frame questions. Now coming to these 2 books, you can have a selective approach. The dynasties like Guptas or Buddhism, Jainism, or the areas which are frequently asked by UPSC is what you can prepare, right? Now coming to medieval, again your old plus new NCERTs is what you will only follow. ठीक है, इसमें कोई अलग बुक नहीं करनी है. Just remember the framework or the dynasties which UPSC is now focusing on. जैसे दिल्ली सल्तनत अब ज़्यादा पूछ रही है, और the aspects in Delhi Sultanate like invasions etc. or travelers accounts is what you can focus, right? When it comes to culture, now when you are doing ancient and medieval, the cultural aspects of the dynasties will remain the same, right? So your NCERTs continue. Specifically for culture, there are two NCRTs. One is Introduction to Indian Art, Part 1 and Part 2. Part 2 is on paintings. इसके अलावा I have told you to prepare UNESCO's list, whether it's World Heritage Site or Intangible Cultural Heritage list, right? Current affairs becomes important here, the newspaper write-ups, etc. Selectively, I'm again mentioning selectively, you can cover CCRT website. For which all topics? For topics like music, dance. ठीक है, CCRT website. ठीक है, so these are the books which you can, or sources which you can refer to, and the framework which I have given you. Any questions? हाँ, Modern India का तो session हो चुका है ना, I've already given you the source there, NCRTs. हाँ, YouTube channel पे. Anything else? You can see the mains analysis also, so that you get better insights. So your question is, if in the newspaper, areas of antiquities are asked, जैसे antiquities are found. So what exactly is found is not important. The site is important. If that site is having any cultural link of the past, जैसे Buddhist site है, Jain site है, या कोई Chola की site है, on those aspects, the static aspect of site is what you will prepare. Site के importance से आपको वो देखना है, not on the basis of antiquity found. So when I started the session, I told you that there are 3 keywords which are used in the syllabus: architecture, art forms and literature, है ना? तो जब हम NCERT पढ़ते हैं, let's say ancient and medieval, there is a specific topic or chapters mentioned on social and cultural aspects. Within the dynasty also cultural contribution आपको एक heading दिखेगी. Within the chapters also there will be certain chapters dedicated in the book. Specifically when it comes to medieval India, there are chapters in old NCERT mentioning social and cultural contribution of Mughals. तो जो socio cultural aspects है वो chapters को you have to focus more from the culture perspective, right? Anything else? बहुत नितिन सिंघानिया's book is very popular. It is giving you everything on every topic of culture, right? But आप वो कर सकते हो, and you have to do that book vis-a-vis your UPSC questions. If you think that that book is catering to the UPSC questions, go ahead. If you think that नहीं मेरे से UPSC के questions solve नहीं हो रहे हैं, then you have to weed out that book. मैंने बोल दिया ये, right? But I am not discarding any book. It all depends. See, if there are toppers who are saying that they have read a particular book, it's not only that they are only referring to. They have their prior knowledge or notes already, used, or they are using from their class notes or test series notes. आपको एक specificity पे नहीं देखना है, एक isolation में नहीं देखना है, because UPSC is not making questions from one particular book, right? वो पढ़कर हो जाते हैं, good, नहीं होते हैं, you have to see other sources, right? I am not telling you anything beyond NCERT, right? Majorly, सिर्फ ancient वाला एक topic है जिस पे UPSC is using specifically Buddhism and Jainism and Vijayanagar and certain terms that they are using particular books. Otherwise, you stick to NCERT. Even if you don't do these books, कितने question का loss होगा? 1 or 2. But NCERTs को तो you cannot discard, right? So, हाँ ये तीनों करनी है। एनसीईआरटीज मतलब एनसीईआरटीज ओल्ड प्लस न्यू दोनों। हाँ मेरे हिसाब से सतीश चंद्र, हाँ, एंड थीम्स इन इंडियन हिस्ट्री पार्ट 2, अगर न्यू की बात कर रहे हो तो। मिडीवल इंडिया ओल्ड एनसीईआरटी सतीश चंद्र, न्यू वन इज थीम्स इन इंडियन हिस्ट्री पार्ट 2। ठीक है, तो पार्ट 1, 2, 3 न्यू है, और एंशंट की आर एस शर्मा ओल्ड है, सतीश चंद्र ओल्ड है, राइट? एनीथिंग एल्स? I'll come to your question. So let's end the discussion, right? So all the best, guys. Have a nice day.